very few of them have had to do so far.
Exactly. One of the obvious ones that's jumping out in everybody's mind, of course, in the mid lane is, in addition to Ryze and Syndra, the Victor that has not shown himself quite here yet, but Cloud9 2 more, and there you go.
You don't gamble against the Victor. Also a matchup that Jensen was struggling with a little bit.
Yeah.
Lost both Victor into Ryze and Ryze into Victor. Both champions off the table right here. The only real mid lane champion remaining that's been prominent is that Aurelion Sol.
Right, Aurelion Sol, and considering these two mid laners too, to me the Cassiopeia for Jensen also rises up now with the bans that are on the board, but now we're swapping over to top lane. That's been big for both Cuvee and Impact, who have been extremely good top laners this tournament.
Yeah, so we're looking at the likes of a Rumble being open right now, which is high for these players. Nidalee is off the table. Elise is a primary pick here. Aurelion Sol's a pick we're looking at, so Olaf would be a surprise right here.
Yeah, I mean, Olaf going to take it away from Meteos. Ambition was one of the junglers to pick that up. We'll see what they combo it with, because you definitely want some more speed. The Karma is available for them, as Sivir is always an option, though very rarely used. And as I said, the Jhin, I think, very high in priority, maybe even early pick here for Cloud9.
Could easily be a Karma Rumble here in first rotation too, you know, solidifying that early Rumble pick, always having pressure for Impact in the top lane. Neither of these junglers really visit top all too often, so that could definitely favor towards a priority on the Rumble.
Seeing how many picks are actually contested between these teams really doesn't, it's a mind game of they're taking it away plus getting the champion that they want. Already happened with the Olaf. The picks and bans are basically shared by both teams as well. You could have seen those bans from either side. And we'll see them throughout the rest of this best of 5. What will they go with? Will it just be kind of a sneaky pick, not showing too much? It is going to be that Caitlyn lock-in, and they do grab the Rumble.
As we mentioned, also along with the Jhin, Caitlyn very strong with the extra range down there. We'll see if they combo that with one of those long-range poking supports as well, because we've seen the Zyra. Karma can also be flexed there, no hesitation. There's your extra speed for the,
no more flexing
for the Olaf. Yeah, no more flexing.
Lock.
But you do get that guaranteed, you know, it really just enables Olaf, because Olaf does fall off in mid and late game pretty heavily.
Yeah.
And the threat he needs comes from the teammates that you surround him with.
I love this pick that Samsung did, though. Just instantly, Cloud9, what do you got? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, right, have to be prepared. They must have ran a million pick and pass scenarios in their preparation.
I think that's really good research by Samsung, because that was one of the things that we mentioned as well. Jumping right to the front of your mind as you see the bans on the table is the Cassiopeia for Jensen has been his go-to. He likes to be the backline, very high DPS AP from the late game.
But historically, Aurelion Sol into Cassio has seemingly been a decent matchup. It's the matchup that Faker has at the worst stats in of his career almost, I feel. He's gone down in regional qualifiers, even during Worlds, so
yeah,
definitely something you could play. This actually, the Orianna pick was the expected answer into Cassio in the start of the tournament, but because there was not as high of a priority as expected, we very rarely saw Orianna come out. But it's a super doable matchup, and it's very easy to play for the Orianna. It's very hard to outplay if you're Cassiopeia.
Yeah.
Mostly because the ball zones versus the attack.
Right.
Really do like that matchup, especially since when you pick Aurelion Sol, there is a bit more pressure to be proactive early, and if that's not your comfort zone, where Jensen has been a mid laner to dominate mid lane. He wants to play aggressively, push up in his lane, and try and harass under turret, and may not be, you know, as accustomed to the high roaming style and trying to get kills elsewhere.
Well, that Rek'Sai may be the available early blue for Jensen to keep up with Crown's pushing. We see the Jhin and the core JJ Echo pick for Cuvee coming in.
Super likely that we're going to see that early blue buff handoff. Right now, Smoothie is looking for a pick, and combined with Meteos, that's pretty much the engage for C9. So they need to draft at least a combination of two champions that can start fights or at least facilitate those engages, because their mid games have been very slow, and that might be why they're still going for this Alistar despite having a range support against them. But that unit, that Caitlyn Alistar, is more than fine alone in the bot lane.
Exactly. The Caitlyn Alistar is actually one of my favorite combos of ranged melee bottom lane, because you have the threat of comboing the Alistar all in with a trap. That just provides so much setup for a jungler. Really a lot of pressure there.
Definitely got a lot of pressure, and it allows the Caitlyn also to just use the range to kind of 1v2 the laning phase. Miners to stay from Alistar. Really good combination overall.
Ignite is fight lane. Smoothie's got it locked in. Meteos could, again, we've seen him in previous games, come to that bottom lane, get the flashes blown, and at least give Sneaky and Smoothie a way to get through the lane quite easily.
Also, I really like the Rek'Sai passive pickup for Cloud9, because they have actually struggled a bit with the vision, especially towards the mid and late stages of the game where they start to fall off. Rek'Sai is going to provide a lot of extra intel for them. We'll see what they're able to do, though. game #1, and everybody is getting amped up.
Hard to believe we've already been through 2 weeks of games, and there's already more to come here. The coaches say good luck one last time to the teams and each other as we're about to be on the Rift.
And I just want to say I love this venue. It's built for acoustics. We can really feel like when the fans are cheering, despite a lower number than we had in San Francisco, it is loud in here.
I really love it when you can actually feel the audio.
Oh yeah, it's heating up in here. We still have chills. Let us know who you are backing. Tweet at LOL eSports. Good start. With the hashtag SSG win or the hashtag C9 win. We'll tally the vote in-game as usual. The crowd is ready at home in the Chicago Theater. Samsung Galaxy and Cloud9. Looking to keep their hopes alive here in Worlds 2016. We're about to be on the Rift.
Yeah. And despite what the signs in the crowd were saying, they're actually running it down bot lane right now. You'll see it once we zoom out.
Get some frequent flyer miles here. The crowd is behind him. It is home turf, and the game has begun. We'll see how Samsung and Cloud9 go at it in our first quarterfinal best of 5.
Yeah, we saw a 4-man run in the bot lane right there. Samsung moving together, trying to get in there for some vision. There's a reaction from C9 right after.
Yeah, I think it's highly likely that the Samsung bottom lane will go to interrupt the Gromp, but Cloud9 have placed their defensive ward already. As soon as Samsung walk over, up through the river, they'll see him coming, and this bottom lane should probably just have both of them start with outside camp. You really want to do that with the double range to try and abuse the ranged and melee as soon as you can. Top side start for both junglers, though, and Cloud9 do have vision on the Olaf.
I wonder if we're going to see Ambition take advantage from the fact that Meteos is so predictable in his pathing on that Rek'Sai, starting top side and then handing off the blue.
You know, very well could do that on the Rek'Sai, but also, if you've set a pattern and people are expecting you to go very passive, Olaf is one of the jungle champions that you can actually attack in the jungle because he likes to get low for the quicker clear, and you can try and surprise him, you know, maybe get a summoner. Meteos, though, usually going very, very safe in the early game, trying to get farm advantages as opposed to pressuring.
And I want to delve a little bit into the mid lane pick of why Orianna is such a good pick into Cassiopeia. It's because Cassiopeia always stacks straight. It's the Q into E combo, walking up. Orianna doesn't really get punished too much from Miasma. Early on, there's good base damage, but once you hit like level 3, 4, 5 on Orianna, she just puts the ball forward, and Cassia will get punished and slowed every time she walks up to finish a trade. That will make it so she can't stack multiple E's on you, you can disengage, and then at level 6, there's always the looming threat of an Orianna ultimate.
There it is. You talked about predicting the slow route there. Cloud9, Meteos is going to be able to get his blue, but what you deny is the blue handoff.
Definitely so, but he does get a super fast clear doing this path, and Ori as a champion is fine farming, a little bit pushed in early.
Not too much pressure as of just yet. As you said, Cuvee, Meteos really not liking to counter jungle too much, or get aggression, I should say. He actually counter jungles quite well in the early game. For just about 16% of the enemy's jungle camps. Ambition's looking about 6 there before 15 minutes, so that could really hurt Ambition if he's moving slow around the jungle with that low health.
Yeah, see, Meteos actually really does like to not only control Scuttle Crabs for the extra vision, but steal away the single small camp every time they get any sort of vision on the enemy jungle. Remember that they did see Olaf start on the top side, so this is very predictable, the route that Ambition has taken, and it is a very full clear, but shouldn't catch Jensen by surprise here, even though he's pushed fairly far up.
I mean, he has subs. He knows he can survive a gank, so he's just going to try and probably ghost out here. Might have to flash him.
Ambition goes very early.
That was
nice juke.
That was actually an amazing juke there by Jensen. He did not give Crown the passive movement speed on his Q.
And this all ties together here. So good start from C9. They both walk into river, both their top laner and the jungle to put 2 wards down, and that actually allows them to play super aggressive in the top side like they were doing earlier with that river vision. Impact, despite actually only getting 3% jungle attention before 15 minutes, is generally always pushing and has a massive CS lead. This guy plays like a monster despite playing on an island.
Yeah, I think everybody really playing accordingly there. No big surprises. for Samsung, it actually didn't give up anything to go for that gank.
Nope.
Yes, Ambition did trade Ghost, but his camps, remember, he started on the top side, so he's just going back to that top side. Very efficient clear still. Didn't lose any time with that, and I don't think that any team or either team right now really out to any big, meaningful difference.
No, we're looking at pretty much even CS across the board, except for in that top lane where Impact was relentlessly pushing from early on.
Yep.
It's a nice
Smite,
here.
he smited early.
Yeah, that's a steal.
Smited early for the extra poison from the Gromp to help him kill it, but bottom lane pushing up. This is something that we kind of touched on in Champion Select. The importance, especially on blue side, of very strong, double range bottom lanes, so you can then go to invade and you get that vision stacking going.
Yeah, but Sneaky got through the power shove of the early levels where the counter poke is pretty obscene. He managed to go at even CS, and right there you saw him punish that fourth shot as well. Really good combo. E into Q, layered in between, within the headshot proc from the E-Mark. Really well played. They're looking for Ambition to break the game open here for Samsung Galaxy, because Impact is pushing quite heavy on the top lane.
Definitely agree with your bottom lane point there, because you do have to keep in mind that all-in potential that we talked about from the Alistar and Caitlyn, especially in the early stages where there's very low vision at the moment, and the first support recalls are really where the dangerous moments come, where you're trying to get that first line and, traps can be set up.
I like what C9 is doing here. Much more early grouping. Both jungler and top lane grouped a little bit earlier. Right now, support roams mid after the base. Complete surprise. He's likely going to be at least one summoner blown here when Smoothie combos.
And the question has been, is the communication there between Smoothie and Meteos? For sure it was on that one. Crown moves fast.
Oh,
He gets the
Smoothie.
stick though, petrifying gaze. Smoothie gets taken down. Flash and Knight is down. They're on to Crown now, but it doesn't even look like they'll get anything out of it.
What a massive mistake there from Smoothie. Crown gets the 1v3 first blood. Complete outplay. You got to expect that he's going to flash the combo.
This is a team error. There's two ways you make that play. Either you flash combo at the same time as you know the Rex is going to go for the play. If Meteos tells them, okay,
see it right here.
I will go for the knockup, Smoothie can right here go for flash combo. And he will layer it in. The problem is, if he goes that slow and that late, it's a reactive combo, and he's too slow. Even if he does it later on, Crown will still get the R off. So basically, this is a communication mistake between Smoothie and Meteos. We don't know who made the wrong call or whether it was just instinctive, but this is a major flaw for C9, even in the late game. We saw it in week 2 as well. They need the synergy on the engagement, and they're always 1 or 2 seconds off, and it can mean much bigger differences between gains or losses.
There were moments in the group stage where we did see a little bit of a disconnect between the two members of the Cloud9 frontline, and here we have a very immediate punish from Samsung as they go in to take the first Drake, and it is that Ocean Drake to help out with the regeneration early on. Very important. Meteos, though, does get a small tidbit back for Cloud9 here, trying to deny blue buff from Crown.
Still haven't seen any action from the top lane yet, and that also is to the team. It is Impact up by 19 CS at this point, so doing quite well. Looks like you could hit that penetration item mark quite quickly, and maybe Cloud9 will be able to work off of that. For now, though, it seems like that laning phase will stay, and that's only going to play in Galaxy's favor.
Yeah, but we are looking at a summoner-less Cassiopeia in the mid lane versus Orianna Rek'Sai. Definitely gankables, especially if you know that Jensen has flash. Now, Sneaky getting low here. Remember, this curtain call available. Oof.
Poor JJ 1v2.
You were saying? Curtain has been called. It's also not a level 6 for Smoothie. Just another attack. Is it the Q? Oh, the deadly flourish almost taking him down, but they captivate the audience and stay alive.
Woo. Touch and go there, and they do get the heal out of Sneaky, so Summoner Spell burn. A lot of pressure on bottom lane right now. Plus, look at the vision Samsung are placing right now. It's all around the Drake, around this bottom half of the map. This becomes very dangerous territory for Meteos as well now to try and protect his jungle.
Yeah, and you can see it in the confidence of Ruler as well. Playing very confidently upwards, always going for that poke. Jensen is forced to move in the top left side of his lane because if you look on the bottom right, there's 2 pink wards basically robbing the river of any vision.
And now we're going to see Smoothie go back to try and combat the vision that has gone in Samsung's favor. Remember, he still does not have flash, so this is dangerous for him on the Alistar. Does see that one expire, so not going to go into the ward into the river to try and clear out the pink wards, and Samsung actually will retain control of the bottom half.
And this early vision control has actually done something countering Meteos' natural style. Meteos is not a heavy ganker. pretty low jungle proximity with all his lanes combined.
Absolutely.
But he usually goes for the little invade here and there, stealing a buff. He did it earlier with the blue buff as a reactionary play, but other than that, because the river is kept on lockdown, he's having a hard time getting into Ambition's jungle.
The Ambition head back to his. All that ward vision on the bottom side lets them know where Smoothie is. No more engages on Crown. He can play a little more aggressive. The CS has still been in Cloud9's favor and get their item points possibly before Samsung, but hopefully not losing to any more of these early game ganks. It is Samsung that has the shortest time coming out of those group stages, and right now they are looking like they can put a pretty powerful fist on the early game here.
Yeah, and Crown must be happy with the way that early game is going. Well, this is a player that ramps up past 15 minutes. The biggest gold lead increase for him comes from 15 to 20, so he has a relatively steady early game, but then he goes off, and he already got donated or outplayed. He definitely played that super well, by the way.
Yeah.
First blood.
I mean, we continue to point out a whole bunch of times where the enemies of Samsung, the opponents, make mistakes around the mid lane, and he continually punishes them. But over and over again, I mean, we saw it against RNG as well. Xiaohu, you know, flashing forward onto Malzahar to try and pick up a kill there. It always seems that Crown does not make these mistakes and comes up with the extra kills. Ambition down bottom lane, though.
Sneaky caught up. Exhaust goes down. Oh, he doesn't even, yeah, it was the undertow that takes him down. I didn't think Ambition was going to get there in time. Meteos just on the edge. Shockwave in the mid lane. Petrifying Ace, Jensen. He flashes the ball. Jensen comes up with a clockwork wind-up.
And this is exactly the matchup that we were talking about. Orianna is so strong 1v1 despite the first blood. Jensen still gets a kill. He failed the ulti cancel just by a hair. Tried to show his booty to Crown, but it was still enough, and he gets the flash again.
Exactly, where Crown tried to flash the ball
the bottom
there.
lane gank one more time.
Exactly, they're going to continue to be aggressive down here. Now, Smoothie had a really good headbutt there to break the tether, but didn't matter because Ruler landed the snare.
Yeah, but he broke the tether on the wrong target. Here, the zone from the ulti. Every time Crown wants to walk back and go into his QE pattern, he is under threat of getting ultied by Orianna. Despite the fancy flash, it's just enough for Jensen to take him down. And that's exactly why they picked this matchup.
Exactly. He's expecting Jensen to immediately go with the command attack, but Jensen holds it, waits for the flash, then is able to get him.
Exactly, staying in range for those autos as well to build up. And he gets the best of Crown in the mid lane.
But we gotta go back to the bot lane though. This was a mistake from C9, overextending with no vision. Smoothie using the knockback on the support. Yes, it breaks the tether, but why not knock away the 80 carry, knock up the support, put a trap on him, and then have at least counter pressure in lane? These are the rash decisions that's putting C9 behind. Also, you have to wonder, why would they engage all of a sudden? That's because the jungler could be there. So C9 lacking the defensive mindset.
A little bit of aggression, you know, after Sneaky what got out of the tether, then going for the couple autos. Yeah, there are a bunch of roads to try and travel down there, but let's get back to the game at hand because this is a very even game as far as the gold is concerned right now. Just very different focuses for the two teams. In the mid lane is Cloud9's point of power right now. Jensen not only with the kill, but also has that CS lead in the counter pick there. And bottom lane is where Samsung should continue to focus.
And Meteos has flash available. So there is a world where they just put the ball on Meteos. He flashes in for a knock-up with the tunnel. And Crown has a hard time walking up in the lane.
Is that this world or is it a parallel universe, Prepo?
It has been a while since we've seen a delivery system. There are two ways for it to happen here between Alistar and Rek'Sai. It may catch him off guard. We just saw Cuvee use that ultimate to get back, cause Impact to use his ultimate so he feels good after he takes the minion wave between the turrets, give Impact a little kiss.
Yeah, was able to deny Impact one melee minion there, but Impact still holds that CS lead. And as you said, very low jungler proximity up by the top side. They've been left to their own devices quite a lot here as Meteos brute force invade. Jensen would need to push up that mid lane quicker to try and come over. He kind of has control right now, but half-hearted invade.
And they're doing it on the back of really good river vision though. There's a lot of zone going on here. Look at the poke.
Can keep going as well because they know Sneaky has to focus on the minions back to the top lane. That Haunting Guys is finished. Or Leandries, I should say, by Impact. Flash is forced, however, in the play. Ragnarok still would have canceled out the shockwave, but Crown also backs off as Meteos is just off of knocking him up.
The initial pressure from that fight is going to come from Meteos using this red smite here. You get so much more 1v1 power, and Olaf would have to back off there anyways, but not going to be able to capitalize once again.
Oh, this could be it for Sneaky. If Smoothie can get in range, it's actually Sneaky's flash that is forced. Doesn't need to call the ultimate out of Smoothie, but Cuvee giving Impact hell in the top lane here. Could phase dive in, looks for the scrap shield to go down, and he gets the third hit. And Chrono breaks back to safety.
Yeah, despite having an early CS deficit here, he's building super tanky here, fighting against the base damages from Impact as well. Impact going for a really big damage build, but he's left so squishy, so these couple stabs when he walks back to lane have put him so low that he can actually get dove.
Yeah, just a couple of smart moves there by Cuvee. Each one stacks up. You know, get a little bit of chip damage here as he's coming back to lane, going for another trade under the turret. Now his ult is back available. He has the confidence to dive, and Impact nowhere to go. Also didn't have flash, so big outplay there from Cuvee that took a long time in the making.
Yeah, and honestly, this is C9 again putting so much emphasis on that bot lane and mid lane river in between, that vision that they're procuring, but Meteos hasn't gone a top lane a single time, and with a Rumble Rexa, you could easily put some pressure on Cuvee here. Impact again forced to play on an island despite being the guy with the most solo kills in group stage.
Been a lot since Impact was playing much stronger in the top lane that Meteos almost stays away from that lane. Set up, why not let him walk into the trap? They're just gonna go after him immediately. It looks like he may stay for the fight, enough to die. The heal from Ruler, and that's gonna keep him alive. Sneaky goes down, and Samsung changes this one and puts it right on top of its head. That's Cuvee's teleport down, but he just got a kill in the top lane, so he's got some time to breathe outside the lane.
Once again, another setup from Cloud9 that backfires here as they're not able to burn through the Karma, through all of the shields, even with the brush advantage with 2 versus 1 and Ignite used.
It looked like he would have walked on that trap anyways. Most people will go to ward it, but
It's very dangerous to let people go for the full fish stick though. Sometimes when you're in combo range, you gotta be happy because the situation in scrims, that has failed so many times, where they juke you or you make a mistake.
they figure out you're there first and collapse even faster.
That's about C9 having to just know when you make that play, you got to be sure that you get the kill right here. Let's see.
Yeah.
Core JJ, does the Ignite expire before the heal? Combo here is Sneaky in exhaust range. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, that's the problem right there. Max exhaust range for Core JJ. I think Kalen can actually outrange in that situation. Then he dies.
And as well, thinking to just Q backwards over his shoulder, add that much more damage in. Playing very solid from the bot lane, and things are going to get much harder for Cloud9 with 2 dragons down in favor of Samsung Galaxy, an ocean and a mountain.
Yeah, Cloud9 are attempting to be proactive here, but this is the second time where they set up a play off of the Alistar, they get punished, and then it turns into a Drake as well. And Samsung now actually with a substantial lead in this game. Cloud9 kind of have to go for a wombo combo team fight now with Rek'Sai Flash, Unburrow, and Orianna Shockwave with the Rumble Ultimate on top of it.
Yeah, this is the phase of the game from 15 to 20 minutes where there's such a stark contrast between these teams. Galaxy always ramps it up, somehow gets an extra kill, an extra pick off because we're leaving the mold of the laning phase. And C9, they actually struggle. Their gold advantage dips on average after 15 minutes towards the 20-minute mark because they're just struggling to find the right play and execute it.
And in the super small sample size we've seen, when Samsung does have the lead, it's 100% once they get these in the mid to late game. Impact still able to deliver a little bit of damage here, but Cuvee with that kill still makes him think twice about fully going in for the fight. Sneaky now to the mid lane. As you said, Kobe, Cloud9 is trying to be proactive, and now they're moving the pressure around.
Yeah,
their turret is down.
They're in a very rough position because their first turret went down without any sort of answer here from Cloud9. So they've lost so much territory on the map. It forces their AD carry and their mid lane AP carry to also fight for farm. And this is one of the most difficult things for teams as they struggle through the mid game. You kind of have to wait for Ruler to deliver all these minions up to a safe spot.
Meteos gets hit here. He should just be able to tunnel out of this one. Not much help. There we can see Jensen giving him, already shielded him out and then move the ball, but now they know they can keep going. Mid pressure is going to be theirs, and Cloud9 is getting suffocated in every lane. Sneaky goes down on the bot side.
Yeah, it all started with pushing bot and top lane, but it was Jensen in the mid lane that could hold his own, keep Crown back. But due to a couple of mistakes here, Crown is getting strong enough with the added pressure from Ambition to really spearhead the mid lane pressure, and suddenly C9 find themselves pushed in all 3 lanes.
Exactly. No pressure left at all for Cloud9, and they're going to have to go into defensive mode, use defensive vision at the moment, whereas Samsung can pick any point of power right now. Man, Ruler with the Jin hits every single ultimate shot. Literally just killed him with the ultimate only.
Yeah, really good use of the cadence there. Sneaky did not get the 90 caliber net out of the bullets and got hit by every single one.
And that prowess on the champion is why we rated the Jin pick so high between these two teams. Samsung really using it effectively. And Cloud9, the underdogs, trying to make a comeback.
But again, it all stems back to the early game.
Yep.
It is Samsung Galaxy correctly capitalizing on some of the windows of opportunity left open by C9. If this is an even game, that doesn't work. But Samsung so good at snowballing minor advantages. They're considered a very slow team, even in the LCK. They could always close games, but they didn't have the strong enough early game to really break it open. That's why they were struggling against top teams. They never beat the likes of Rox, SKT later on in the season. They only beat them in opening week. They had 2 games, I think, where they beat the Rox Tiger. After that, they only beat teams below them, but consistently so.
Here we go though, Cloud9 again.
Flash in from Smoothie, Ruler's the focus, which means he can get the Mantra Shield from Core JJ. They should both be able to walk out of this, and it's hard to choose a target in the bot lane with all the speed. Impact's gonna go down to another solo kill from Cuvee, and now it's the bot lane. Ambition thinking, should we go? Asking the team. It looks like they've turned the trigger on for this one. Cuvee teleports to the bot lane, Jensen gets melted. Smoothie's gonna be the next target in the eyes of Samsung Galaxy, and can they bring the universe down on Meteos' head? Yes, they can. 10-1, 20 minutes in, and an 8K gold lead to Samsung Galaxy.
Cuvee has been having some fantastic teleports. Not only does he solo kill Impact in the top lane, he TPs down, shuts off the escape route after an initially fumbled play from C9. That trap should have been better.
Yeah, I mean, Samsung right now are winning the entire map. There's really no openings. Cloud9 tried to make another proactive play, but oh, it was as Impact was teleporting there as well. And Cuvee comes up with the solo.
Yeah, solo kill, Impact trying to join this fight. It all went wrong because that trap on the left side of your screen right there was supposed to combo. It was supposed to be Alistar combo into the trap, but it was placed ever so slightly, a bit too much to the right. So when Meteos joined in for the knockup, they let the Jim escape. Ruler got away, and then he had back-end damage in that fight, which means a complete ace whitewash for Galaxy.
Looks pretty busy over at that Baron site. 21.5 minutes in. It is going to be the ward. Smoothie may not be able to do much. Meteos is just too far away. And Smoothie may go down on this one. Another hit comes in. Impact goes down.
I wonder what this does
the bot lane
to the mentality of C9. They made a couple of good setups, but they fumbled the execution. That led to vision loss, more pickoffs, and as they desperately tried to claw their way into the fight, they ran into such a consistent Samsung Galaxy here, always punishing every single window of opportunity.
Yeah, this is a very important opening game here for Samsung, as they've really been able to establish dominance all over the map. And Cloud9 really are going to have to reset after this game and not get too down about this one because, man, just left, right, and center, Samsung picking up victories.
And coming into this game, Cuvee and Impact had 6 solo kills apiece for top laners, the highest at Worlds, and Cuvee has just skyrocketed that record.
That's the nature of the matchup. If you fall behind in the Echo Rumble matchup, he will hunt you down. Cuvee had a Magi Soul Stealer up to a couple of stacks. He sold it right now.
Just stole him.
He had a couple of stacks of that. He's like, nope, I die once, not worth it anymore. Selling it for Spirit of Visage. Just going for consistency here. No fooling around.
Yeah.
Samsung Galaxy said it. Once they got the quarters, they need to get to semifinals. What a great opening performance.
Yeah, this is going to do wonders for the confidence of this team. Even turning around constant plays from Cloud9, they probably won't be too scared. So you have to be careful about, you know, getting overconfident, I guess, as we move forward. Here we go, though. Cloud9 still going for plays. They know that they're so far behind that it's going to take multiple people. So still trying to be proactive and get something back for themselves at the moment. But in order to take the game and turn this entire game around, it's going to be a long farm for late and defensive play.
Honestly, that is actually a great way to get some breathing room. Take that Baron away from Cuvee so he can't be a pest in a side lane, but everybody else still has
Samsung. Crouching Tiger hitting
They
Sneaky.
can almost do what they want. Ruler.
C9.
They measure out on this one. Ambition's going to be able to get another mountain. So when Samsung Galaxy reaches the turrets, they will not be long for this one.
Yeah, C9's getting creative right now. They know they're not winning a 5v5, so they're hiding their AD carry in brushes, hoping somebody face checks.
Looking for the silver line.
Looking for the answer. If you're in a position like this as a team, you know you're likely lost this game, but it's sometimes okay to just play it out slow and reset your mentality because this is a best of 5. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
One of my favorite games of World 2014, I believe, was high on the Zed.
Oh,
After they were so far behind, just still, going for these sneaky plays to try and, get something back for themselves, even if it's a little bit too late. As Samsung move in, trying to take the inhibitors down, and Cuvee still on the 1v1 with impact.
Almost getting worse and worse for that top lane. Bot inhibitor's gonna go down. Cuvee may be able to solo that one in the top himself. Smoothie giving the team a little bit of room to work with. A great shockwave. Samsung Galaxy gonna have to think twice, but so will the rest of Cloud9. Jensen's almost out of mana. Can't dance this one out too much more. He hasn't really gotten any of his blue buffs this game. They are being denied resources and objectives all across the map, and this may be another very fast game from Samsung Galaxy.
yeah, super clean closing here. Jensen doing what he can, but it's not enough. Doesn't have enough ability power to supplement Shockwave combo here. First Nexus turret is falling.
Looks like it could be number 2. Exhaust to Meteos. Meteos is saying walk this way, but he can't even get out of the base for them to follow him. He's gonna come up with about a quarter health here. Crown should be able to do the work with Ruler there on his last bullet. Reloading as they head to the Nexus turrets. Impact throws down the equalizer. Says you want to walk in, here's the red carpet. And it looks like he's going to start cooking up some dinner. First one was Crown. Can he find any more? Ruler is down. Now Sneaky trying to get back to the base for Solace, but Cuvee ties his shoes together, takes him down before he can get there. And it's only 25 minutes in. Everybody's falling left and right. It looks like Samsung Galaxy is going to have one more try at the Nexus.
Yeah, they still have people hitting the Nexus at the moment.
When you don't know when to leave the party, you keep staying, and you start to become the troublesome one. That's Cuvee right now. It is Ambition that went down. Cuvee, a few more swipes, just a few more HP as well, and they silence him. Just a few hundred HP short of a down Nexus.
Cloud9 stand still. 26 minutes into this game, they're still going to put up the defense, though. Like we said, defensive vision, I mean, you know where they're coming, though. Samsung are just going to go straight back to the Nexus. Rally caps on for everybody in the audience.
Sideways, inside and out.
Tenacious looking deaf in the eye. Not today. Well, maybe today, but just not right now. Maybe 5 minutes from now. They're stalling out. As long as they can keep fighting, it's all about the mentality right now. It's about the mental reset into game 2, and that is something C9 have done well in the past. You're no strangers to reverse sweeps.
Yeah.
It's a long combat. You gotta keep believing.
It's true. You can't let one opening game affect the next one here. But man, yeah, Samsung gonna walk right in, take down the inhibitor number 3.
And Samsung, we gotta praise them for how they punish the mistakes, but we can go back and look at this game. What if the plays that C9 made actually worked? What if that flash combo with the flash knockup worked?
Right.
What if that first gang connected? What if Jensen could start snowballing, could really start leaning in this Orianna versus Cassiopeia pick? This would be an entirely different game.
Everything that Samsung is doing right now causes Cloud9 to instantly react. Semi-ults, flashing forward. Cloud9 has to act immediately, looking for the kills as well as the Nexus. It's going to be Cuvee as well, going for one more kill. They turn around. It's the last few hits. 27-27 for your first game of Samsung Galaxy, taking out Cloud9.
We were wondering what would happen when the team with the longest game times on average met Samsung Galaxy, who had the quickest wins across the board. Well, pretty fast win here for Samsung Galaxy.
Very, very impressive from Samsung this game. Just across the board, stoic in every single lane. They turned around almost every single play that Cloud9 made.
Some of them by mistakes of Cloud9, but then some of them by sheer outplays too. The presence of mind for Crown to know that not only could he escape the 3v1, he could get a turnaround first blood kill without dying in the process. Honestly, incredibly impressive, and that is why many pundits consider him such a good mechanical player.
And as Cassiopeia, that's one of the best feelings, being able to use that ability to counter with a petrifying gaze and then choose whatever target you want. Obviously, it was Smoothie. And then from there, they tried to get him again, couldn't, and then it was almost, it couldn't be repaired. Every single lane started to fall.
Then, yeah, up in the top lane, Cuvee alone with Impact. Yeah, Impact did earn that early CS lead, but Cuvee still kept coming at him, fighting, very tenacious, using the ult to get back, waiting for it to come back up to go for the kill.
Make an Impact think twice about being able to back, really hurt that lane. and the rest of them to dial in on that Samsung Galaxy's Game 1 win. Let's check back in with the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Riv. And a disappointing start there for Cloud9, but Samsung Galaxy, very similar type of game to what we saw in week 2 of group stages from them. I want to dive into Champ Select because we were talking a lot about the adjustments that Cloud9 should make to maybe pinch some of those smaller pools from Samsung coming into the game. Jat, what's your diagnosis here?
When I saw this draft, I actually really liked what Cloud9 did with it. I was very surprised when Samsung banned the Kennen and the Ryze, and I thought, great. They're going to be able to pick Rumble. They actually had pushing lanes in potentially 3 different lanes, which can then open up the jungler. But then the execution in the game, Samsung was just better and cleaner than them. And I think the thing that really pushed it over the top was how good Cuvee was in the Echo versus Rumble matchup.
I think the thing that I was kind of optimistic about from Samsung, because I agree, first impression, like, all right, Cloud9 has some great lanes here. The thing I noticed, though, was that the thing about the Olaf pick is you want to counter jungle. You know Rek'Sai is going to pass off the blue. You want to get in there and counter jungle. That's why it was very smart to see Core JJ go for the Karma. Caitlyn was already selected. Any AD carry is going to lose the 1v1 early with her pushing advantage. So Jhin Karma can actually push in. Cassio in the very early levels before Ori gets her mana items, before she gets levels, can push in against the Ori. And that at least gave them the tools to be aggressive because that was the game plan they were going for. But overall, this was a draft that Cloud9 should have been super happy with.
Yeah, and in the game, you actually talked about, okay, Samsung's going to want to invade that first blue so that Cassio, so that Orianna does not get that blue buff in the matchup and she can sway it. And Meteos does a nice little adaptation taking the blue buff. But what really impressed me about Samsung this game was their ability to really punish the mistake that Cloud9 made. And particularly that roam, that lack of synergy in the Alistar and the Rek'Sai combination. How did Samsung punish that? Immediately, Karma goes into the jungle, drops an entire load of vision in that area. And that allows the bottom lane to play as aggressive as possible because the Karma Jhin matchup, Karma Jhin lane can obviously punish Alistar Caitlyn very much. And with that vision, they know that they're not going to get ganked, and they're able to just punish the dual lane over and over. And we saw at one point even Ruler being able to solo out Sneaky because of the advantage they got of one punished mistake.
And let's talk about Cuvee in the top lane because you mentioned it in the pregame that the solo lanes for C9 are going to be hugely important in this matchup. And then here we have Impact getting rocked.
And you have to mention, these are the 2 players with the most solo kills at the tournament. Both had 6 going into this game. Cuvee managed 4 solo kills, 75% as much as he had at all of Worlds. In this game is up to 10. And Cuvee's a super interesting guy to talk about because he's kind of a name that's slept on. He's actually the only player starting today that was in the Samsung Galaxy team that was formed after White and Blue went over to China. So he's the only original player. Wraith on the bench also was in that lineup. Samsung were a struggling team. In the top lane, no one really knew what to make of Cuvee. The one consistent about him, just like Smeb before him, he was an underperforming top laner that was always really high on Korean Challenger. He was top 10 for the most part of 2 years. So you're like, there must be something about this guy. And a performance like today, and in general his performance level at Worlds, has been that next step for Cuvee 2 years into his career.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of about him defining his legacy, especially if they can advance from the quarterfinals to the semifinals and continue to grow. Him and Crown both, but even when he was solo killing Someday in the Korean regional finals, people were thinking, Someday, he's just playing like garbage. It's not Cuvee getting these solo kills. And maybe people are going to continue to make that excuse, but the longer he solo kills his opponents, the more respect you have to give the guy.
Absolutely, and as the top side of the map was falling, we of course saw at 20 minutes the ace, where Samsung Galaxy really sent a message to Cloud9, and this is brought to you by Ace.
Yeah, and this will start from Cloud9 trying to combo onto Ruler, but unfortunately the trap is going to miss onto Ruler, and they're unable to do it. Cuvee's going to solo out Impact, and as soon as that happens, he TPs to the bottom side, and they're just going to collapse and massacre them.
There's just nowhere for them to go. Olaf is really smart here after the start when he goes to crush. He actually gets from the behind. There's nowhere to go. Cuvee with the flank teleport as well after getting the solo kill. And it's just a bulldozer running over C9.
Yeah, and this was the final nails in the coffin for this game. Samsung was winning all across the map by this point, and this was just all coming to a head.
Yeah, 27-30 game time, very reminiscent of that week 2 of group stages. While we look at this graph here, or this post-game graphic, I want to turn to you guys, and with in mind, C9 has selected blue side for game 2. Ask about what possible adjustments they can make, because Jet being happy with their draft is, I mean, and saying that it's just execution. I mean, do you have faith that they can even shore up that many weaknesses in this short amount of time?
This is not exactly a strong game 1 showing from Cloud9. I liked most of their draft. The only tweak I would have made is having a higher priority on Karma, only because that showed they needed the pressure from it. I don't actually think they want to change that much outside of dropping the Nidalee ban and getting one other in there that they want.
And coming into it, we thought that Samsung would be playing a style where the bot lane is all about laning, and we saw that. The laning was very strong. Karmajin, an incredibly powerful laning phase, while Smoothie looking for the roams. We saw him on that first roam towards mid lane. But I do think that the lack of success in that specific one really turned him away from doing it again and again, and that's what I would have liked to see. So I don't think that the draft has to change too much, just that if they can actually keep having more confidence in themselves and knowing what got them to this point, sticking to it should net better results.
And look, Cloud9 have a win on Orianna this tournament, but it was the super long game against Flash Wars where basically we got to 6-item territory before anything happened. I want to see Jensen on a playmaker, something he can kill people with. He's probably not going to get the Syndra even at first pick, but something along those lines, whether it's a Worlds meta champion or not, they want to rotate through Jensen's lead, as we saw from the botch dive, and get him ahead, and that's what they need to do. So if they can set up a mismatch in mid where they have kill pressure, that at least gives them something to aspire to for game 2.
And Jack, can't help but notice the Gnar being left unbanned here in this game. Is maybe that an answer for Cloud9? Is putting even more of a split push threat there on Impact, giving him an opportunity to maybe stack up against Cuvee in the solo lane?
I think that's one of the options, but I also feel like Gnar has fallen away a little bit, especially for Cloud9. And some of that has to do with them not being able to keep up vision control at the World Championship. So even if he does get an advantage on his own, they haven't been able to transition any of those advantages. So I kind of like him on a team fighter, as long as he has the ability to win in CS.
Of course, Meteos has been the focus of a lot of criticism coming into this tournament. The Rek'Sai here, how did we feel about his performance in, say, comparison to the likes of Elise Sin?
I mean, I think it was fine, but the problem is that when you have a matchup in the top side like the Echo into the Rumble, you don't have a whole lot of kill pressure there, especially with the roam, so it's a hard lane to address. I would have liked to see a lot more pressure onto the mid lane. I really felt like the window back into this game would have been Jensen. He was able to find a solo kill, he had a nice CS advantage, and there was a point where Rek'Sai had Flash and Cassiopeia had no summoners. If you can punish that lane and crack that mid lane turret, you ease up the pressure for the side lanes and immediately are able to actually have your lanes play out without getting dove nonstop.
And even if you're in an incredibly close game, just to kind of close out all the strategy we're talking about, there were several different moments in this game that if you're two evenly matched teams, would decide the game. The 3v1 gank turning around in mid lane, that's game over against Samsung. And then there were several layers of more of that happening when they were missing Caitlyn traps on Alistar stuns and getting solo killed. And there was about 5 or 10 things that could have individually cost them the game in that one.
Cleanliness of execution for Cloud9. Now Samsung Galaxy has taken a 1-game lead, but don't go anywhere because we'll see if Cloud9 can fire back right after this.
Just keep up the communication, no tilting. Yeah,
focus our game and then trust our practice. We are good.
For sure it was on that one. Crown moves fast. He gets the stick though. Petrifying gaze. Smoothie gets taken down. Meteos just on the edge. Shockwave in the mid lane. Petrifying gaze back onto Jensen. He flashes the ball. Jensen comes up with a clockwork windup. It looks like he may stay for the fight. Enough to die. The heal from Ruler, and that's gonna keep him alive. Meteos is just too far away. And Smoothie may go down on this one. Another hit comes in. Impact goes down. 27-27 for your first game of Samsung Galaxy. Taking out Cloud9.
Like the attention, girl, I know you. But you're everything I want in life. We're fighting danger like Kung Fu. The love I feel is deep inside. The others don't matter. It's honestly us against the world. We're the perfect team. You're my dream, but I just want it. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. To myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. To myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. To myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. Oh baby, if you ever need a helper, you should know that I'll be there day and night. Nobody else can love you better. I'm here just to treat you right. You're the reason I'm alive. You're the only pain I can endure. And when you're not here, you're my dream, but I just want it. Yeah, I just wanna. You're my dream, but I just want it. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. To myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. To myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself.
I personally feel pretty good about a best of 5 because I really feel like you can start understanding a team as best of 5s progress, especially when it comes to jungling, because in best of 1s, you don't really know what the jungler is going to do. In best of series, you can start noticing their patterns. It's like, okay, this guy, when he clears this side of the jungle, he's almost always going to go for the scuttle crab or something like that. Whereas in best of 1s, teams you haven't played before, you're like, I guess he could do anything. You know, I don't know how like efficient or crazy this guy is. So I feel like in series, you kind of get a better feel for how the other team likes to play. And you can try to do things to like take them off their game and switch things up. So I like best of series quite a bit.
There's a lot of pressure to take in on game 1, but we'll see who has the better read on the competition as we head into game 2. Welcome back to the Chicago Theater, where Samsung Galaxy have taken a 1-game lead over Cloud9, and they did it pretty definitively.
Yeah, that game was kind of like a Band-Aid game for Cloud9. Rip that one off. Sometimes, yeah, when it's that quick, they can refocus even easier after this one. But things that we do have to look at and shout out from the last game, obviously the Jhin in the bottom lane was very big for Ruler, plus 13 CS at 15. That doesn't even kind of explore how much pressure they had down there as well, though.
And it's also, they were playing a pressure matchup. The enemy support roamed away for a play on mid and it failed. So it's all these little things that tied together, which made it why Samsung had such a convincing victory. It was part because they play so well, and part because the few plays that C9 put together, they all fumbled. You had the engage in mid lane where Crown gets the outplay right there and the kill that could swing the entire matchup in the mid lane, which also gives way more pressure in the bot lane. It's a cascading effect of a couple of failures. C9 are looking to shore those up, and Samsung are looking to punish even more of them.
And we had a little top die going on, but the reverse side of the story, Cuvee went absolutely crazy, and it was just off of first kind of messing with the minion waves, Chrono breaking back, and then getting Impact off of his back rotation.
Yeah, I mean, Impact did have, a little bit of control early on with the minion advantage, but Cuvee had some really, really smart little poking moves, kind of like guerrilla warfare coming out of the brush, chipping him down slowly, burning his flash here. They're very good at taking small advantages and coming back to bring it around later.
Well, we'll see what homework was done here for game 2. We don't want to show anything in game 1. We did say the champion pools would be pushed quite far into maybe 3rd and 4th picks. We'll see how it happens in this one. Tom Kench as well as Nidalee still getting that pick ban. We'll see what they have from the side of Cloud9. What do they want to take away? Victor, beautiful choice. The Syndra as well. What are you going to file out with?
Speed here from Samsung. They're insta-banning, insta-picking, leaving very little time for C9 to think.
Exactly.
it's a minor thing, and most teams have their stuff prepared, but the extra 20-30 seconds that you can discuss a pick when it's hovered, that's what matters. People don't really look at it, but when you're on that stage, any more time you can get to react to pick and ban is obviously beneficial, and that's why C9 is running all the way to like 3-4 seconds left.
And this game is very important for Cloud9. There has been a slight blue side advantage, and it's now their turn to make the changes, right? Samsung had a pretty clear victory with no big weaknesses across the map. So the ball right now is definitely in Cloud9's court here to make the first change.
Kennen makes it through the pick and ban phase. What is Cloud9 going to try to snag first with that Jhin on the hover?
And this could be exactly what Meteos was talking about just now. The best of 5 pick ban adaptation, the in-game adaptation, getting a feel for the opposing team is always better than just doing VOD review.
Yeah, I mean, but that being said, we just did VOD review, and that's what we came up with. I've already did. Here
well,
they are.
What we're saying is,
it's hovering it.
Put Kobe in coach.
They're just hovering though. Okay.
Jhin will be that first pickup. No hesitation once again from Samsung Galaxy. Pick 1-2. Kennen, Karma. Now onto the side of Cloud9.
Yeah, so we're seeing priority here. Kennen over the Rumble. Cuvee saying that's definitely his champ to go to. You know, lane pressure all in. Good flying teleports as well.
Exactly. Kennen's been huge in this tournament for the flank teleports, the flash engages, and because it is also good into Rumble. So he's already kind of daring Impact to go that way, and I'd like to see Impact and Cloud9 switch it up a little bit here. Kennen is actually pretty squishy and can be focused, but that would require, you know, really focused jungle attention.
And the goal of the draft right now, gone are the days where you get the massive outpick that will get solo kills in lane, usually. It's all about pushing lanes that still scale well. That's what Samsung achieved last game in the draft. They had a pushing top lane eventually. Once they got past the breaking point. C9 had 2 pushing lanes, mid-top early, but they never play around their top lane triangle. So they couldn't really capitalize on that. And then later in the mid-game, Samsung Galaxy started pushing on both top and bot, and eventually on all 3 lanes, and that was the breaking point. So C9 desperately looking for some early pressure lanes, but then they need to work with Meteos in unison and use that push advantage to get vision in.
Exactly, and the other thing they're looking for are switching up and taking away those key picks. The last 2, or the 2 carries that Samsung just used, Jhin and Cassiopeia, both taken away now, and we mentioned how both of those champions are high priority for this Cloud9 squad, but now they're going to have to run into this play style that we've seen Samsung run before. They have a speed boost for the Skarner, they look for those mid-game picks, and it is a little bit slower style of winning, but it also has a lot of fallback play.
Yeah, we're also seeing the jungle tendencies reflected in the picks here. A Rek'Sai, a Skarner, over the likes of an Elise early on. 2 junglers that like to farm. Just that the location of where they farm differs ever so slightly. Meteos goes for the few counter jungles in between. Very heavy on Scuttlecraft. Ambition mostly farming his own jungle.
Now the other thing that Cloud9 need to look for here is something to answer this Kennen, because they've seen the Kennen from the very beginning of the draft, and they've locked in these very low mobility backline carries here with the Jhin and the Cassiopeia that do have a lot of offensive potential, but there's not really an answer for Kennen flank. That flash thunderstorm coming in.
It could be the perfect tidal wave if you see him coming, but that's really risky to play. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Smoothie here. He's going away from the Alistar pick. No more short-range composition only. They're adding an element of poke here in this comp as well. Look what they can do. If C9 get a lead, they can group up at the tower, put the miasma down, and suddenly all this poke can hit. No gap closers, no flashes. That's the goal of the competition. Just need to track where they can get there.
Yeah, talking about offense, they've got 3 carries here. All lanes can carry for Cloud9, and it's going to be up to how well, obviously, they play in the 1v1, but also the jungler intervention. And Meteos has shown throughout the entire Worlds here that he does not go up to the top side of the map. Very curious, how Impact is going to fend off the Skarner Kennen combo. If he does not get support, whether it just be vision or something like that to ward out or find ambition, it could be very, very scary for a Jace in that matchup.
Yeah, immediate Orianna and Sorel. It's just a good matchup into Cassiopeia. It's so hard for the Cassiopeia to break open that matchup, even with a kill lead. You still have the threat of getting all in at level 6 by that Orianna ulti. You will always have to flash it. And then if Samsung gets sieged on ever, they have the tools to deal with it though. Flash Skarner ulti, a line of trap zoning, the looming Orianna ball, and then it can flying teleport. A lot of answers that C9 need to track if they want to siege.
Definitely agree, and I do like the other adaptation Cloud9 have made with the Nami in the bottom lane to add that sustain, add the extra pressure there for the early stages so that they aren't constantly getting chunked out and they aren't constantly an opportunity for the enemy team to take advantage of.
Basically, Core JJ, the only one, and Meteos, I should say, playing the champions they brought from game one. So trying to switch things up here. Cloud9 obviously has taken blue side for this game. We'll see if the first picks matter. We're heading into game two. Cloud9 trying to reset here and clear their minds. Remember to tweet at LoL eSports and tell us what makes your Worlds highlight reel worth the hashtag Worlds Big Plays. There's going to be plays all throughout Worlds, and we want to be able to remember them as they come and as they go. Crowd once again behind Cloud9 as they step onto the Rift. We are heading into game two of this best of 5. The teams have swapped sides. The rosters have been shaken up with champions. And we'll see how it plays out in game two.
Definitely a risky comp here for the underdogs, Cloud9, with a lot of damage and the potential to snowball. But they have to, get something going early here because Samsung, they have a lot of flash playmaking abilities. Skarner and Kennen can pose a very big threat to the back line.
Yeah, they're rolling the dice here. Could be rolling the top dice as well when Impact and Cuvee go off against each other again, because that's a very snowbally matchup. In a Jace matchup, if he dies once, this Kennen can continuously bully, but if Impact somehow gets ahead, he can swing that matchup too.
He got ahead! Ha!
It's over.
Always feels really bad as a Kennen when your opponent even gets a little bit of health. Yeah, you can stun him all the time, but he'll be able to fight you back. So it's always good for a Kennen to have to stay on top of that lane, as well as be as ferocious in his engages. That's a lot what Samsung is bringing to the table here, just jumping into your face. We'll see how Cloud9 reacts once we get to that point in the game. A little top-heavy set here as they just kind of hang out in the jungle, looking to pick up some gold.
And I wonder if Meteos is going to go for the Wolf start, where you smite them early, and you basically leave the Wolf sprite to kind of patrol your left side jungle, so make sure that Skarner doesn't come in and steal the early blue buff away, because then you can return at level 3 or 4, hand off the blue buff to your mid laner, and then swing that matchup into Jensen's favor. He definitely needs some help. Jungle presence, an early lost chapter rush, maybe just the early blue buff, anything that can help or get out sustain. All right.
Good start there for the Samsung bottom lane. Their patience waiting in the side bush is rewarded.
Got that Soul Flare double tap.
These are the few levels where Jensen can still have a trade advantage, and he's really making use of them. So that's good for C9, playing towards his strengths early on. It's actually overextending by Core JJ. Could get punished there.
Yeah, but Cloud9 grouped up there. Both got hit with the AoE. Yeah. They also did not move up right behind the minion wave. You want to go to make sure that one of them is protecting you from skill shots. But Nami sustain in effect, as seen here.
Denying some minions on that first one. Crown taking quite a bit of damage here. It's Ghost and Flash. It's Ghost and Flash. They're not going to have the Ignite, and they go down to last hits with the auto attacks. Neither go down.
I love those moments where both mid laners have double summoners. They get down to 100 HP each. Nobody blows them because Jensen knows he's run out of mana. Here we go, though. First room.
You should have seen him.
This is big.
You should have seen him. He's trying to kind of bait it out now. He knows it's there with these steps.
But we got to go back to that trade there. Jensen was doing it so well. He was weaving auto attacks in between his E's overall, but then at the end, he went for the QE combo, ran out of mana. And that's exactly what Crown knew. He knows his matchup so well. Good pressure.
And when you watch those trades, you also, that's where you build up your psychological profile for your enemy, right? You say, oh, is this the guy, is he that crazy enough to always dodge forward? Is he always going to position in front of my ball? Yes, that is very often the case for Jensen. And he goes very aggressively for another trade here, pushing up the minion wave. See, Crown has to deal with all those last hits now under the turret, and Jensen's going to be able to buy himself a recall.
All right, this is where Meteos could actually go top and also shadow the top lane, giving more space for Impact to keep doing what he's doing. He's winning so hard. This bot lane is evened out. Even on CS, if these creeps go down, it's completely even. So Sneaky and Smoothie have outpaced that early bad trade.
Yep. But if you watch the mini-map, so Cloud9 here, Meteos always going for the very small advantages. So he just takes over the Skarner icon there, the crystal, which is not a crystal with the skin. But doing that, yes, does give you a little bit of control as far as reducing the speed of Ambition's jungle. Gives away your position though in the process.
The flourish hits the ground, but they still want to fight. Core JJ throws the shield down, and they have to respect Karma's retaliation. getting some good ebb and flows in as they make things happen here. Tycolor's blessing on to Sneaky, but looks like he's just farming out with this one.
And what prompted that is both junglers gave away their position by each taking over the crystal one after the other on top side. So both bottom lanes are very well aware that they're in the 2v2.
Props to both Impact and Cuvee. Cuvee farming well, Impact playing that chase very nicely, threading in his auto attacks as he flies in with the empowered ones. Focus on this bottom lane here. 30-29 as Sneaky is caught up in CS with a bit of pressure they put on Ruler and CoreJJ.
Yeah, but Ruler must know how to play against Nami. CoreJJ as well must have watched a lot of games from Wraith, the substitute support from Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah.
Nami aficionado, that's also why people expected him to start, because in the week 1, the top tier expected support pick was that Nami before Mata kind of showed the world that Alistar still existed.
And that's the thing, when you have a support that's at the same level or just around the same high level of play as, you know, your quote-unquote main, you can even practice against them. You don't have to just watch tape and watch VODs of the matchup. They can go into you know, custom games and trade over and over again.
So obvious Team Matt coming in for Meteos. He can continue to farm his jungle quickly. See Cuvee put a little bit of deep wardage in to see if they can start making some moves off the tells of Cloud9 once Meteos passes that. 43-41 here in the top lane. So far a different game, but it has not exploded here. We haven't seen somebody take the lead.
Yeah, and one of the big differences is, you know, yes, the draft, but also Cloud9 not really trying to force plays anymore. They had a bunch of plays that were punished by Samsung, and they're not trying to get behind early again. So more farming, and you can see the farming focus. Meteos early Tiamat here on the rec side. He knows this is going to be about farming out the extra small camps. Tiamat really helps out with that clear.
Very sustained as well, just staying on the map.
Red's in another auto fight in the bot lane. CoreJJ goes down to about 200 HP.
He is.
As you can see, Cuvee is still about 60% and okay in the top.
Yeah, finally top lane though. He's combining the counter jungling with pressure in the top lane. This is some part of the recipe that C9 was looking for, and now they can maybe lean on the advantage.
And that is also a possible play that could get turned around with Cuvee now hitting 6 on the Kennen. And Skarner, Meteos knows that Skarner is trailing him because he was seen while counter jungling. Very, very risky there, and that is one of those ones that flashes before your eyes that could possibly end up in a double kill for the enemy.
There's no Karma in lane here. Look at CoreJJ on the minimap as well. Doesn't run straight down bot lane because he got an early base in. Despite the lane being even, you wonder why base so early. Well, you lose a couple CS bot, you gotta translate that into an advantage, so he goes for unpredictable rolling patterns.
Really, really good to point out there, because we talked about this a little bit before, but that 5 to 7 mark where your first excursion to try and get vision down, you see he upgrades the Sightstone, brings a pink ward, and Vision is also trying to get vision at the same time. Actually, they're on different sides. Can Meteos steal it?
It's a vision war!
There's no smite for Meteos, so it'd have to be a...
TMF prop? Oh, they're just fighting him.
Rope here from Impact.
Didn't seem like there was a call from Cuvee. The Impact left lane either. What a chance for Cloud9 to pick up a kill there. Flash, though, taken from Ambition.
Big summoner down here on Ambition, loses the flash, but look at the jungle. 1 ward right here. Second, third down below in the Crux. Complete information from Samsung. So they traded 10 CS in the bottom lane for a beneficial base timing on support.
Yeah.
Then CoreJJ picked up the Sightstone, and yeah, they were behind in timing-wise, but they got bot lane vision, which means by exclusion, they also have left side vision. They can track Meteos right now.
Exactly, and that's why I was so surprised that Ambition was split off from CoreJJ during that vision. They actually did the two-pronged vision invade. Meteos, though, does have the Raptor Smite, so he saw that one. They know it's warded, but they won't be able to clear it out.
Smoothie's work
here
coming into play. Smoothie puts one over the wall as the top lane try to put each other underneath the ground. Cuvee and Impact going at it once again. Nobody taking each other down just yet, as Impact does have that Hex Drinker to keep himself safe.
And clearing wards in River as a support is a fine line between courage and stupidity. You gotta act confident. You gotta fake it till you make it. You gotta walk in as if you got backup. But if they know you don't have backup, you're toast.
But yeah, but you have to be very ready to turn around and run away quickly. Pink ward die, though, over and over and over. All 3 of those pink wards that just were purchased and placed on the bottom side were all just cleared out. Yeah. That means that the vision Cloud9 actually left on the top side is the important vision that still stands. Meteos, though, walks over Cuvee's defensive tri-bush ward.
And this might be an error in communication, whether they didn't track the wards, but even though this gank doesn't accomplish much, he's at least getting in the head. He's breaking the pattern of Meteos never goes top, and that's important. Because the next time Impact walks up, Cuvee may hesitate for a second, It's like, why is this guy so aggressive? Is he alone, or is the jungler here again? And those little things matter. So even if that gank doesn't work out right now, it could get into Cuvee's head, but he's proven to be very stable. It's doubtful, but there's a chance.
And they would need to do that in a different way. One of the things that I've been a little bit sad about at Worlds is I have not seen too many of the wraparound ganks where you come through the lane, through these lane rush.
Right.
And yes, at the top lane, you can ward your tri-bush over and over on red side, and that's, you expect there to be a ward there. But very, very few top laners will buy pink wards or extra wards for their lane brush, and you can sneak in there, especially if you have flash on Rek'Sai. That could be a very easy route.
And those are the low percentage plays. You know, they don't always work out, but when they do, they give you big hits. But in searching for efficiency here and not wanting to get cross-match too often, it's so dangerous when you don't do that. I like this more of a play. Constant push up the lanes here. This Nami pick paying off because this control in the bot lane cascades into the river. The vision is ready to test. Sneaky.
Ultimate down.
Pretty tanky so far with that Cinder Hulk. The inner flame just completely tearing through Smoothie there. Looks like they'll be able to get this one down though. The Soul Flare rather from Karma.
Shockwave threat.
Both damage. Jensen's there. Ghost and Flash. Doesn't look like he's going to have to use either to get out of this, but there was a Flash from Sneaky as well in that play.
Yeah, the difference there between Jensen and Sneaky is that I believe they communicated that Rek'Sai's, that Skarner's ultimate is down. It was actually Sneaky who was the one who took that the Skarner ultimate. However, he was the one to burn his Flash, scared of the follow-up there instead. Yeah.
Just being safe.
He was a little bit lower. He could get comboed down. Cassiopeia as always has a threat, and Jensen still had some room before he had to flash. So I think C9 played that one perfect here. They didn't get afraid. They let their AD carry get dragged away into the enemy team, and they calmly kept doing dragging right there. So for once on the same page, and that's a difference in these little plays.
The Nami tidal wave for disengage plus the Nami heal there gives them the confidence to get out, and Cloud9 get the Drake with only burning Sneaky's flash.
Now look at the build here. Cuvee opting into early aggression here. Magic Pen boots after a single item. This could catch Impact off guard, but because he CS so well early, he only has that Hexmaker and a Dirk.
Second Doran's Blade as well for a little bit of HP from these all-ins from Impact, as well as to CS a bit better under that turret. Coming up on 12 minutes, a much more even game we have here in game 2, I think, as well. Cloud9 is not allowing themselves to fall prey to little mistakes.
Yeah, and fascinating for these team comps as well. They both want to group up for different reasons here. Another duel between Impact and Cuvee. Knock, knock.
Oh, here come the junglers as well. This time they smell blood, and Cuvee is very low.
All right, Media's checking for a camp. If he can cancel that back, that would be big. Loving this topside pressure from C9.
Yeah, exactly. Those pink wards have stayed in the topside river for Cloud9 for over 5 minutes here, and it's been repeat returns here from Midos. Now, they also have defensive vision. They'll see Ambition.
Oh, use this gate. That's dangerous.
Lightning rush
Flash
there.
early.
That's his speed. He is going to have to flash that one, but they'll push him all the way out of this one. Cuvee picking up the top minions.
Really important that he flashed early there. Definitely the applause for Impact is deserved, but now very scared up there. As we talked about, the Kennen plus Skarner, so much gank pressure.
And it shows you the danger of going for that poke in lane when you don't exactly know what a jungler is, because you're forced to use your defensive spell, which is the gate for the speed boost, but you place it in front of you.
Yeah. And on top of that, as we are looking now towards the mid game and how these 5-on-5 fights are going to play out, remember that Cloud9 are running this high pressure, high damage backline, but Samsung have the engage advantage with the Kennen and the Skarner having their flashes.
Yeah, it's a poke siege comp, just like you said, Colby, that wants to chip away from distance first. If they run head on, of course Samsung Galaxy is going to win. They put the Skarner ulti on one target. Once the defense comes in, instant Orianna ulti and it's over. But if they can use the Deadly Flourish and they can use some of that poke from Impact in the top lane, suddenly these Galaxy members will drop low enough and then C9 can strike. So it's very interesting juxtaposition. Both these teams like fighting around objectives, but they have a different approach. It's shotgun all in from Samsung, and it's slow, steady poke down approach from C9.
It's been a very different approach for both teams here. First blood in our last game was 6-12. We've already doubled that time, and nobody's fallen yet on the map, but they have come very, very close in these attempts.
Yeah, and Samsung Galaxy in week 2 were averaging 4.5 kills by 15 minutes. Right now they have 0. Good sidestep from Ruler. So this is kind of breaking their early game pattern, and C9 for once, they're staying even. So definitely a much different game.
And I think it's an intelligent adaptation from Cloud9, because, here we go mid lane though. Double summoners available for Jensen. Mind game.
Yeah. You don't want to flash too early because you don't want to flash for nothing. We don't want to flash too late because then you're dead.
Yeah.
Perfect. Basically an audio play. You're listening for that sound.
Well, there is a second door here, and door number 2 involves Ghost, and I do encourage ghosting early.
Ooh, that's definitely a killable position for Impact. Cuvee knows he cannot stay any longer. Just a quick switch to the hammer, and that would have been Cuvee down.
Yeah, that was one of those plays. Don't try them at home. Go for the early ghost, but Impact again. Look how he's leaning on that advantage because now he has the assistance of Meteos. And it's all because of the Nami pick, kind of, because bot lane is fine on its own. Sustained pressure, which means Meteos no longer has to care about bot lane. He can switch his focus to mid and top. Play the top lane triangle. And Impact, he can relentlessly keep pushing. Last game he was pushing early, but he got afraid. He got pushed back in lane.
Exactly. A Caitlyn Karma, while it's oppressive and pokes heavy and is annoying to lane against, does not have that same kill pressure. Does not have the ability to punish you for mispositioning like that. And Sneaky and Smoothie just fine on their own down bottom. Meanwhile, Impact getting that CS lead in this game as well. But remember, as we transition to the team fight phase, Kennen has a very high impact as far as all in, especially if Flash is available. Proto Belt on the way as well.
Yeah, that's the difference. Well, going for the instant Proto Belt rush here, Magic Pen boots. Jensen doing formidable in this mid lane though. He's joined an objective, contested it, didn't have to flash out. He dodged the gank, fading flash for flash against the scholar. And this is the second flash from Ambition that's been burned. He's used one ultimate in the game. All have been for naught.
Also remember, the flash that Sneaky blew last time they took the Drake is back up right now. Cloud9 went unpunished for that Summoner spell.
There's a hit. Tidal Wave goes down. They're still on Sneaky. They throw his exhaust in, and Smoothie tries to get in the way, say, attack me, not my AD, and they come out worse for the wear on that one.
Yeah, I think that's one thing you can criticize.
Well, actually not.
And 4, we need to see what Ambition does here.
One thing.
Pointing.
Well, yeah, see, so one thing about, people always talk about setting up for Drakes, and Drake is about to spawn 15 seconds, everybody be here. The other thing about setting up for Drake is sending your jungler down there, trying to pressure one of those lanes to force a recall at a suboptimal,
Maybe collapse here on Ambition if he gets bubble.
Everything was just used by Smoothie. They let him pass this time.
But yeah, we're back to the point as they continue to fight over Drake. Recall times and staggering those recall times around the objectives can sometimes be just as important.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see if Ambition can contest here. He has his AD carry and support in the jungle, but Cloud9 don't necessarily know that. That's a really good zoning Miasma here too.
Top laner as well. Impact sitting in the bush, ready for a TP if it needs to come in. They play it safe. And Cloud9 grabs Dragon number 2.
And despite having the unfavorable matchup in the mid lane, Crown is not getting access to the river sooner than Jensen. Jensen's been there for the first time every single time, much faster here, despite playing in a matchup deficit.
Impact playing this top lane so well. Fog of War is Jace's friend. He always has that pink ward below him and always a ward in the top to know if he can get Cuvee on either side of the wave with a shock blast, and he has been chipping away when he has time between farming. Ward clearing now for Samsung Galaxy. They've been all over Cloud9's pink wards as soon as they come out.
Yeah, the battle over vision in River has been very tense this game. Meanwhile, in the top lane that you're talking about as well, with Impact and Cuvee, and talking about backing up and looking for those teleports, there is a pretty big opportunity cost to teleporting away from a Jace lane. Because Jace can very quickly melt towers. The first turret gold is still on the map here, so if there's a huge fight bottom lane, there's...
You were saying? You were saying? Ruler flashes over the tidal wave! He goes for a surf, and Core JJ still getting the shots in. Smoothie with 350 health lives on that one with just about 100 under his belt. Impact forced to go back as he's not ready for Ambition and Cuvee together.
Yeah, a lot happened in these last 2 minutes right here. Again, this is the time of the game where Samsung Galaxy usually ramps it up.
15 to 20.
This pink ward survived again because Meteos was shadowing the lane. He was there to protect that, which means Impact can keep playing aggressively, and they're going for that first gold turret that Cuvee was talking about because it was a race. They had to commit. Because C9 made a misplay in the bottom lane. They missed some spells, and they still decided to fight on. And they end up dying. Beautiful flash from Ruler there through the tidal wave.
Definitely a huge point of power for Samsung, this bottom lane. That was not the side of the map that was talked up so much. Ruler, one of the new guys on the block, and Core JJ, swapping roles, going back to Korea, coming in. And such a huge part of their run to get to Worlds.
And that bot lane play, see, it all stems like... it goes back to the previous trade where they engage on the support far too often and getting not so beneficial trades for C9. So they shifted their mentality, said like, we need to stop trading on support. So they went ham to get the Caitlyn, but they missed everything. And if a Caitlyn can sight up the bubble, there's so much punish, especially when the Karma can then land the AoE in very predictable fashion here. Cloud9 overreaching, honestly.
Yeah, we return to this theme of Samsung being very good on the defensive and being very quick to throw counter punches. As soon as Cloud9, that was a Cloud9 offensive play in the bottom lane. They went for the bubble. They moved up with the heal to try and get positioning. But Samsung cut off the retreat. They lay down the trap right behind Sneaky. He walks onto it, and they secure their kill 2 versus 2.
Mid lane onto Crown. Oh, Cloud9 says king me real quick.
And that
Crown
can
goes
move
down.
That can move right into mid pressure here. Cloud9 have a ton of extra damage in top and mid. Gonna try and burn down the turret.
And you can see exactly what happened there. Crown died with both Ghost and Flash up because it was a beautiful miasma. Look at Meteos' Flash. It's down. You can only see what happened. It was Ghost W from the Casio, Flash knockup from Meteos, and suddenly Crown, yes, he has his ulti, but he couldn't even get it off in time. Completely caught off guard. And that's mainly because if you look at the left side, pink ward vision. Vision control in the river is paramount to control of the map.
Yeah. Incredible Cloud9 completely wiping game 1 out of their minds, coming in even stronger in game 2 and playing proactive enough to get themselves first turrets and kills under their belt. Jensen now is pretty in mid lane. That Abyssal Scepter is complete. He's got a little extra money as he goes towards his Rylai's.
And just to point out how stark the contrast is, let's see this again actually. With this play here, yeah.
Oh,
that was
sneaky.
So beautiful. Cloud9 right now are even and slightly ahead of Samsung Galaxy. Samsung Galaxy in their last 3 games, which were all wins, was up at least 8,000. They were on average 8,300 up and 20 minutes. Right now, they're bang on even, so this is a whole different world for them now.
And something important in that play as well is it kind of speaks to the mentality of Meteos in the front line here. Even though they're playing a more cautious game and they don't want to force as many of those super early game plays that are fairly low percentage, he still has to have the killer instinct to flash it for the knockups when you see something like that. An opportunity so clear as that, and that is important to know that Cloud9 still have that after that huge loss in the first game.
Yeah, and honestly, it's great to see that he went for the play despite a flash knockup in the last game, honestly costing them the game. Not because he failed, but there was lack of synergy. This time the W from Jin was perfectly timed.
Meteos also,
yeah,
killer
Titanic
instinct.
Hydra. Very killer. It's like they want to put the pain down Cinder Hulk into a bit of good damage for himself. We'll see how they continue to use that. Placing their wards forward a little bit more, something Cloud9 lacks in a lot of cases, and they play around too much fog of war, but here they are trying to light up the map.
And they're setting up around this dragon so early. Vision control is always there. They're punishing Samsung Galaxy from entering, because look, it's 2 Ocean Drakes. They're not the best for C9, but denying them of Samsung Galaxy is a big hit because Samsung's playing as the Pokemon. They would have loved to have these Ocean Drakes.
A very good point. Wards continue to be moved forward. Cloud9 looking at a 30-second Infernal Drake to get a little bit of buff on their damage.
Yeah, that is going to be huge because anytime you talk about a very high damage backline, a 3-carry team.
4 carries.
4 carry team, but well, yeah, Titanic.
That's true.
So it's not going to. Okay, 4 carry team. There you go. The Infernal Drakes are that much more important, and it is spawning now. Also, look at how the vision is creeping up into Samsung's jungle. This might be the point where Samsung call it though.
Yeah.
They have flash on their engaged champions, and they're moving in.
They're moving in, but they can't grab the tank, and the Impact moved down because he doesn't want to teleport in. He's a Jace. He wants to poke before the setup. Remember, the C9 is a poke composition. They do not want to hard engage. They want to keep moving Samsung Galaxy left and right, whittle them down.
That's why it's so important to push these waves up, because every time you push up the wave, you buy 5 seconds. Kennan's trying to clear in the mid lane, so Cloud9 move in and get vision control.
And we can see the combo right there. It's tag into Jin W, into Miasma, into more poke, re-engage, or disengage rather. That's what they're running here. They gotta be so wary of the hard engage from Samsung. This teamfight could be over in simply 3 or 4 seconds if Samsung pull the trigger.
The only one, oh, beautiful ball movement over by Jensen. Causes the dragon to have to be fought. C9 says we'll take the fight as well. That follows after. That's gonna be, no, that's an Ambition getting it. Looking like it was a Rek'Sai, but it's Skarner. Meteos has to get out of this fight. Still waiting for Ambition's flash. Engage. Meteos is going to be safe. The trap does not allow a headshot to come through from Ruler.
I was so ready for the flash headshot from Ruler. There's still heal.
Yeah.
But I like the commitment. C9 were at least in unison right there. They had communication that multiple parts worked together to stop that dragon, and they moved in. Sure, it was a missed smite, but thematically, it was a good play.
Yeah, definitely going in to try and force that and zoning off Samsung. But Samsung do get the important Infernal Drake there for themselves and denying it from Cloud9.
And that was Crown moving the ball. I'm sitting in last game with Jensen on Orianna. My mistake. So 39.7 to 39.5, but a 30 CS lead here for Impact in the top lane, and he has been giving Cuvee hell. We actually thought to see Ambition and Cuvee making work up there. The Impact going back to top die.
Yeah.
Trying to get those kills.
Good rotation here too. Suddenly Caitlyn top, looking for that turret after the long lane was established earlier. Smoothie can't really do much. There's more people coming though, so they want to be careful. But look at Ruler, not afraid. But definitely want to go back to that smite steal from Ambition. He failed He traded 2 flashes. His first ulti didn't stick. He's 0-0-0 on the Skarner at 25 minutes, but he still stayed super calm. Didn't smite early. Wait for the perfect smite.
Yeah, it's almost, it brings up this question in my mind because he has not had a really impactful gank. Is that a reason why Cloud9 will delay their QSSs and nobody is really trying to get an early QSS here? The other thing is that Cloud9 actually have so many good targets for Skarner, so unless you all buy QSSs, then it's really an all or nothing thing because there's so many carries to choose from.
It's almost like a prisoner's dilemma just for QSSs. Everybody's got to work together toward the same goal. If one guy cracks, it's an inefficient strategy.
We'll see. Maybe they got a bunch of coupons. They'll all buy QSS at the same time, and then Samsung will really...
The Costco of QSS.
No engaged target.
Buy them in bulk.
Honestly, I really would prefer mass Mercury treads because hear me out on the extra stuns that are going to be coming from Kennen, and those are going to be hitting everyone anyways.
Tenacity is that very often overlooked. It's such an invisible mechanic, but you definitely feel it when Kennen is waltzing.
Oh, teleport from Samsung.
Onto Ambition, very, very tanky. Flashes are being used here. Tidal Wave flashed out by Ambition. Ooh. Slicing Maelstrom on 3 members. The shockwave from Crown, and Cloud9 is melting. Impact to the skies and to the back line as he tries to finish Ambition, but it's like he's hitting brick walls left and right. Samsung stay up as 5, and Smoothie is the only one standing for Cloud9.
And that is going to be the Baron. We set it up so long. The all-in from some of the Samsung champion composition here. They pull it off, teleport it behind, right onto Sneaky, and that is an early Baron.
That was honestly the dream. When we were talking about how this fight could be over in simply 3 seconds, this is exactly it. What a beautiful ward teleport on the Sneaky flash WR from Cuvee. Remember, Kennen doesn't need to tag people anymore with his ulti. As long as they're in range, the W will apply. Right from the other side. This is the dream fight for Samsung Galaxy. This is what they were looking for so long. They never engaged unless they found the opportunity, and they seize it immediately. And that must be such a big blow here for C9.
And that was honestly one of the first times that Samsung have even had wards in that quadrant of the jungle. Cloud9 kept pink wards up in the river for a very long time. Right. But Samsung, they immediately get those wards in, and then they attack the river as the carries are left alone.
Quickly, 4,000 gold put into the bank account of Samsung Galaxy. 2 kills to Crown there, 2 for Ruler now.
This gives them so much more freedom as well. They're playing against the poke comp. Not only do they have Baron, which means they can hide in the creeps no longer die to the poke, the wave clear is useless. They're up 4,000 or 5,000 gold, which means the poke just doesn't hurt that much.
And with their games obviously being the shortest, it's very impressive that Samsung has actually only conceded 1 dragon throughout, or I'm sorry, 1 Baron throughout all of Worlds. So they'll probably make the next Barons, if it goes long enough, theirs in this game and push even harder. Impact from the side, can't even get the shock blast on, just the blast. And it looks like they're gonna try to back off after it takes just about the team to start clearing these waves.
That's the other thing, it is very difficult to push on a team like Cloud9 are packing with so much extra wave clear and damage here. But yeah, just look at the drop off there, the one play, the all-in play when you are the team that does have that hard engage. Here they come though, looking for the engage again.
Yeah, no flash,
just
they use
speed up.
Movement speed steroids here, just the zone. Get him off the tower. Here, look at how far forward those traps are from Ruler, and then the simple rotation top here. This is what Samsung's looking for. Isolate objectives, our turrets, get them more gold boost off the back of that play. Baron power play already at 4.3k.
And it's important for Cloud9 not to overextend trying to defend these secondary turrets, because the gold kind of rubber bands, when the team with Baron, it's going to shoot up here as they push down turret after turret after turret. Cloud9 just need to stabilize at their inhibitor turrets. Those are much easier to defend and try and farm off the lanes.
And this is a Baron taken after a 1-5. The Baron power play starts once the Baron is taken. This is a 5,000 gold swing
In addition
to what was there after the Baron, after they won a fight. So this essentially is a 6,000-7,000 gold play in total for Samsung, just off one good teleport.
We saw that graph. That was just a huge cliff.
The abyss.
We'll see if they can get themselves out of it. Clouds fly high in this game. Impact still with the good few items to make a hit on Samsung Galaxy. If they can find the poke as Samsung rotates left to right. Unfortunately, Cloud9 has been pushed back almost to the stairs of their base, so they're only making small excursions here out into their jungle, setting wards and then backing up. Some of these wards they can't even defend still, and now it's to the bottom lane for Samsung Galaxy.
10 seconds remain. No more creep buffs, so it's going to be hard to siege because they are running into a poke comp. C9 also got that dragon, so that's triple ocean for them. Did they steal it?
Oh, they just walk out. Not too much of an engage as well from the poke team. They were just looking to get a nice catch on somebody if possible. And the game number 1 ended just about 3 minutes ago. This one going to go much longer than that as Cloud9 now put on their engage with a tidal wave. The curtain call comes out. That's Azania's and ultimate by Cuvee, pretty much just zoning Cloud9 off any more engage. We see Meteos go down. He's the front line. That's a lot of squishy health bars, and I don't think Samsung will stop on this engage. Crown is tanking. One shield, the second command protect, but it's not enough as Jensen comes through with the perfect fangs to take 2 down.
Both teams a bit over-aggressive there as Cloud9 go for the engage, get turned around on, but then Samsung follow under the turret and Cloud9 gets some redemption kills, actually.
Yeah, the patience from Jensen at the end there flashes out early because he got dragged into that fight by Ambition. The ball placement wasn't perfect. The command attack slightly missed, so they placed the ultimate, or the ball rather, on Ambition, and he was so close to dragging multiple people in there. Only tagged one, and then they kept chasing, even though the cooldowns at all.
We'll see it here one more time.
Here it is.
He gets grabbed very early. Once this miasma fades out, Ambition's looking for the re-engage of Jensen, drags him in. But the focus isn't there. Jensen flashed out, mostly due to the zoning from Meteos. Kennen ulti only on one target too, so this is all in all a good fight. Look at how close this is. Orianna ulti as well.
Good guy Impact taking that ace in the hole as well for Jensen.
And then since Cuvee doesn't have Zhonya's or his ultimate there, very ill-advised tower dive for him and Crown to both go down because of that misstep. That could have been a push all the way into the base if Samsung did not mess that up.
Definitely so.
See the setup for Sneaky there with the curtain call and the follow-up from the rest of the team. Cloud9 still putting up a fight at the front door.
It's really weird. C9 need to get a fight where they poke enough so they can use curtain call early, or poke enough, go for a very short fight, and then hunt people down as they run away with the curtain call. Sneaky looking for a position to carry this game here, but at all times and at all costs, C9 need to not repeat what happened earlier. They need to avoid the teleport cannon flank.
And that's so difficult, you know, moving forward. As the map is now bigger and bigger with all of the Cloud9 turrets going down, there's so many areas that they have to worry about wards being in for the TP flanks of Cuvee, for the flash engages of Kennen. And I really need to see the Cloud9 backline actually spread out so that if one of them gets caught with a Kennen ultimate, that's not bad for them. But if all 3 of them are taking that, and that's going to be the way the team fight crumbles. Oh, Impact though.
This played out very differently a few minutes ago. Cuvee's gonna flash forward. Ooh, hits the captive audience. Deadly Flourish keeps him stuck in line as well. That's flash for a flash.
Woo. Everybody gets out there.
Yeah. Ambition noticed he didn't have anybody behind him and said, all right, I'll come back to mid. We'll push the lane and set everything else up to make sure Baron is ours.
Yeah, we can follow Samsung Galaxy here. They push up mid first. They move into the aim jungle. Look at the sweep from Ambition. He just wants to be aware of what vision is left. Gets his crystal. And then they deny some of the vision that's left in the Baron pit from C9. So a couple pink wards there. Suddenly, Samsung Galaxy with really good vision control.
Yeah, crucially, in that last 1 versus 1, where Impact flashed away, Cuvee also burned his flash trying to follow. And that is a huge team fight tool. The flash on Impact, not nearly as important.
Enormous.
Right now, though, Samsung want to pull Cloud9 out into the open territory where they can collapse again.
But look, they know their Baron setup might not be perfect. They don't have the flash from Cuvee. So while C9 desperately or very calmly face-check that area, they trade out for base timings. So C9, they're retaking the Baron area, but Samsung Galaxy is already in base shopping. There's no Baron rush available from C9 because they got to move up.
Yeah, currently, Cloud9 just want to, keep enough vision around that they don't give away the Baron, without a little bit of pressure. But they also are looking to farm for later in the game. They're trying to make up this gold deficit because right now, Samsung have a lot of extra power.
Yeah. I love the protection that Ambition is getting. He's spearing heading into the jungle. C9 desperately trying to keep it out. They don't want vision in their jungle, but now mid lane is kind of exposed. So Galaxy's going to herd the cattle, move him away. The zone from Ambition is so big. He has that acceleration in him with the Karma Shield. And suddenly mid lane is exposed.
And watch where the snipers of Cloud9 are going for. Poke onto Cuvee is the most important. Kenna doesn't get health back.
Using the shield from Karma and from Orianna like a Bloodthirster shield. You see Ruler getting in, already prepping shots on the turret. Smoothie could find himself going down. Ooh, no teammate to get in range, but he's going to be forced back to the base. This gives Samsung time to play.
And it gives them access to mid again, so instead of going the long route, they can now path into the Baron here. Ooh. They just simply walked up and took a base turret here. They traded, they faked out the Baron pressures, and then they just ran straight down mid.
Yeah. Cloud9 would love to pick up these two big minion waves on the side lanes, and it's up to Samsung here to choose between trying to pressure and make them come away from those minions, or going back for those recalls now that they just got chunked out after that fight. They are giving up the map, and Cloud9 trying to collect some of the money.
Yeah, they love trading minor pressure advantages for bases here. A lot of recalls coming out.
And crucially, before they did go for the recalls, Samsung actually cleared out a bunch of the Cloud9 vision. So now it's this give and take where Cloud9 trying to sneak in, get the Scuttle Crab. This is a very important Scuttle Crab Meteos is after.
Especially since there's not that many guys that can jump over the wall. If you're playing against a team that can actually jump into the Baron pit from behind, it's a little dangerous, but this is the massive value Scuttle Crab.
Ambition now with his Guardian Angel up as well. Meteos already has his, but that just makes Ambition that much more of a beast.
Because Impact is in the bot lane. They just want to bait him in, force him for a decision. They have to come through traps and the zone from an Orianna ball here. Look at how fast this Baron's dropping.
There's a TP coming in. It's a little far behind. Cloud9's going to try to take the fight. Meteos is in by himself. That was they flash in as well. Guardian Angel comes up. He might be able to tunnel down. And he's not even going to be able to tunnel backwards out of the pit. That means they're pinging now from Samsung Galaxy on that mid lane. But we'll see how they go.
That's such a risky play, and considering Meteos also has Guardian Angel, you're giving up even more if you go for that flash steal, which is very low chance of success. But Cloud9, they do disengage without giving over more deaths. However, this is going to be a huge push for Samsung. I think they definitely get inside and get at least one inhibitor.
A great setup right there. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. For Meteos, what's he gonna do right there? He had very little time to make a decision. Oh! What a flash!
2 down now. Jensen, 60 seconds on the clock. Smoothie just gets autoed down by Ruler as they follow up with the damage. He's gonna go ahead and drop the inhibitor as well. Top lane was being pushed by Ambition, but he joins his team now inside the base. 10+ minutes from game 1. Samsung Galaxy looking to make that repeat, and they take down Sneaky before they look once again at the Nexus. 11-4 in game 2. The final shots from Ruler to take down the Nexus, and Samsung are up now 2-0.
Samsung looks so impressive, and they're already making this case, threatening the other team, saying we want to go very deep here at Worlds. They want to go all the way to the end.
Yeah, the way they can take a small opportunity and just punish super hard is impressive. There are still holes in the early game though, and if C9 has learned one thing from this game is that they can keep it even until 18-20 minutes into the game, and if they keep that vision swept and they don't allow Cuvee to teleport in, there is at least hope. Because they had the compositional advantage in certain setups. They had the early dragons, the push, the poke, it was all there. But you gotta be so consistent.
The flip side of it seems terrifying. One fight, and what Samsung can cascade off of that has been incredible, because everything else has been set up with their even.
And that's also the nature of these compositions. When you play kind of shotgun versus poke, if you let it fire once, it's over. You get a lot of shots. But if you get a cannon in the back line, and that was beautiful flank. It was Kennen from the back, Orianna from the right side, all the other members from the left
Everything
side.
piled on.
Double pincer.
You have to have patience when fighting Samsung because they are definitely not going to take a very risky move early on in the game. You know, they're much more comfortable playing the defensive game, looking for the counter punches.
And you can see why, because they only need 1 or 2 opportunities to take it home. We can praise C9 for how close they kept it, but that's only because Samsung is such a strong opponent here, and they're making definitely a case for running it all the way into the finals here. Such clean gameplay in the mid game.
Well, we'll have to see what happens in Game 3 now for a look at how Samsung Galaxy pushed their way to match point. Let's send it over to Dash and the desk.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Another solid win there for Samsung Galaxy, making it 2-0 on the series so far. And gentlemen, let's go right back through the whole situation, starting with Champ Select. We had some thoughts about changing things up, especially dropping the Nidalee ban, which we saw Samsung ban out themselves. They go for the Olaf in place of it. All for naught.
I mean, the draft was super interesting because the big priority here is these Jace comps. You know, we've seen a bit of Jace this tournament. SKT looked really good on it. The no-tank Jace comp, they pulled it off, but super hard. You know, the one flank and you're kind of done. And so you're like, okay, but they do have a tank. They have the Rek'Sai, but consider the Rek'Sai build here. Titanic Hydra was the rush. The tankiness wasn't there early enough, so it still was a very brittle front line. And then, you know, one time they don't respect the teleport play, and from there, the game snowballed fast.
Yeah, and to me, Samsung picked a very strong fighting team here, but the impressive thing for me is that they kind of won in a slightly different way. All of the prep leading up to this was thinking that they had a much more narrower champ pool. This was the first Orianna we've seen from Crown since he's been on Samsung, and he's been on that team for a while. So even though it was a little bit slower, and as Kobe mentioned at the end of the cast, there were some weaknesses in the early game, their team play was exquisite, and this was a different type of team composition that Samsung was still able to crush with, which makes it even scarier for Cloud9 going forward.
I think we have to address the change that Cloud9 made, going smoothly from a roaming support into a laning phase, and they're able to keep themselves in the lane for a little bit, but eventually lost that 2v2 and lost pressure. But the one thing that I want to kind of shed light on why the game stalled out wasn't so much for Cloud9 being able to lane very well. While the top lane did go relatively well from Jace, I did feel like a big reason why the game stalled out was Ambition getting caught out at the 7-minute mark. He has to burn his flash because he doesn't respect the pressure in the top side. And in this composition from Samsung, if you don't have the Skarner flash to initiate and make plays, you're not going to be able to punish until you break the laning phase, until it gets to a point of grouping up. And that's what allowed Cloud9 to really stall out the game. Otherwise, those early moves like that dragon play would have been complete disaster.
Yeah, so we did see a bit, as you mentioned, a slower start to the game. And you've already kind of identified some of the reasons why you think that might have been. But I do have to recognize at least the fact that across all lanes, it seemed like C9 was stacking up a little bit better, right? We weren't seeing solo kills in the top lane between Cuvee and Impact.
Yeah, but I think that does tie in a little bit to what Crumbs was saying. When you have a pre-6 Skarner, his Skarner, his gank threat is not very good, and then a post-6 Skarner without flash has very poor gank threat. So the fact that, you know, C9 was able to stall out the game is actually Samsung wasn't pushing their advantage because they didn't have a jungler. C9 should be able to gain advantages because Meteos is able to make aggressive plays. But when the difference between Samsung making a mistake is the game stays even. When Cloud9 makes a mistake, they go down 5,000 gold.
And it felt like Cloud9 was just like a soccer mom minivan. They're just unable to reach high speeds because they had such an advantage in the top side, and they were just not able to push harder. They got to a point where you would have felt like the Jason to the Kennen matchup. We've seen it before with the Maw of Malmortius is able to really bully that lane. If you put a little bit more pressure, once he has that spike, you can just hammer it all the way into the tier 2 turret and get turrets that way. But we just never saw them get to that setup, and I have to, you know, put a little bit of blame in the jungle, in the actual pathing and making sure he's established with vision.
I mean, you put the blame in the jungle. I was taking notes. I was looking for when are the QSS coming? Because if you're going to take this no-tank, high-damage comp, you have to be respectful somewhere. The draft isn't, you know, you're opening yourself up to engage, so you need to have an answer. The QSS for the Skarner ultimate. But 35 minutes into the game, there was 0 QSS. I believe as the game ended, there was still not a single QSS. If it's going to be the Titanic Hydra Rek'Sai walking up, he's going to lose that Guardian Angel instantly. If it's not, they're going to lose their life instantly. So I feel like if you're going to make the big moves, you need the items to back it up. They went full damage, and suddenly no one can push because they're just going to get Skarner ulted and die.
And while we talk about a slow early game, or at least a slower one than game one, Samsung's mid to late game decision making is still just as crisp. And I want to pull up our replay, which is brought to you by Acer here at a 4-0 at 26.5 minutes, putting Samsung ahead and being tied in gold all game, after being tied rather, gold all game.
And it's all going to be from the TP right here from Cuvee with the chain of the Karma and the Skarner. Immediately a 4-man ultimate that's going to be Cuvee recognized this Crown recognized situation, flash with the Orianna ultimate, and as soon as that happens, you're just stuck in that AoE without any tank. And while Impact's decision to stay here is questionable, as he could have stayed behind to poke, the idea behind Samsung's execution, setting up the vision before and going for that play is just so crisp.
And you know things are going well when your Caitlyn is flashing forward to get Hurricane Bolts on the combo team. And Papa Smithy, to your point about the QSSs on Cloud9, I don't think it actually would have helped them there. Never did I actually see an Ambition ultimate that led to a positive play, and Cloud9 was trying to build damage. But they were losing in the huge, giant team fights, and they just did not have the initiation or the positioning to pull off positive plays, and Samsung did.
But I do love your spotlight on Caitlyn in particular, the aggressive flashes, the playstyle. Ruler actually made his debut in the Challenger scene this year. So the first split of this year, came third on Stardust, joined Samsung, very little known about this player. A rookie going from Challenger to LCK to Worlds and playing at this level with this confidence, not dying once this game. That's the stuff dreams are made of.
And I think we can say that for the entire Samsung bottom lane. When you consider that Core JJ was a North American LCS 80 carry, then a Korean 80 carry, and has played something like 16 to 19 games on support in his entire career, and now they're getting 2v2 kills with a rookie 80 carry and a recently converted support on the world stage is just insanely impressive.
You got to hand it to him there. And so here we are, gentlemen, 2-0 lead for Samsung Galaxy. That means do or die time for C9. So looking ahead to this game 3, real quick down the line, what do you want to see out of this squad for maybe a slimmer of hope?
I think you got to get rid of the Karma. The Karma seems to be a very difficult thing to deal with. The speed up enables a lot of the compositions from Samsung with the speed onto the Olaf, onto the Rex Tower or the Skarner, as well as the laning phase. We saw them even have difficulty killing Karma itself, and it's not a good matchup into Rek'Sai, one of the best Meteos champions. So target that support pool and maybe find a little bit of a better advantage that way.
Well, it's do or die time, so I think you have to dangle a carrot here for Samsung to take bait. Because the one thing you can say about Samsung, the only game they have lost this tournament, they picked 3 losing lanes and a jungler that just couldn't really make anything happen. So maybe you dangle the victor, you dangle something risky. Okay, teams have tried it and failed, but so far they've tried 2 different playstyles, neither worked. If you can at least get some pressure in your lanes, if you can get those winning lane matchups, that's what I think they have to do.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much of a chance, but if you're going to go out in an exciting fashion. I want to see Meteos as Zach. I don't even think he's been practicing it that much, but they have had a lack of initiation, and they need to be able to shut down Crown in the mid lane. Orianna Zach, go for it.
I would love to see that myself, Jat. Well, when we return, it's match point between Samsung Galaxy and Cloud9, so stay with us.
You were saying? You were saying? Ruler flashes over the tidal wave. Tidal wave flashed out by Ambition. Slicing Maelstrom on 3 members. The shockwave from Crown, and Cloud9 is melting. We see Meteos go down. He's the front line. That's a lot of squishy health bars, and I don't think Samsung will stop.
Oh, take a turn. There he's in 7.
2 down now. Jensen, 60 seconds on the clock. Smoothie just gets autoed down by Ruler as they follow up with the damage, and Samsung are up now, 2-0. Welcome back, everyone. As we speak, Cloud9 is setting up to keep their Worlds run alive against Samsung Galaxy. And as we get into Game 3 of this best of 5, it is going to be tough. Cloud9 back on the red side, Samsung Galaxy taking blue back, and that was an even faster game, Game 1.
Yeah, but we saw the tweet from Hai come out. Samsung Galaxy just
The trap card!
The trap card was laid out. 0-2 right now, reverse sweep.
That's
protocol
true.
engaged.
That's true.
That's a dream.
I mean, you do have to apply all of the lessons that you learned from the first 2 games, like Midas was talking about, in a best-of series. So hopefully they're on an upward trajectory, and this game, they have learned not to, force a lot of those early plays that Cloud9 or that Samsung will turn around.
They definitely are, because in Game 1, they had some of the right plays. They had a roll mid, they had a face tag brush, they had a trap combo, and they all failed because C9 was mis-executing their plays. Game 2, they were actually taking control of the map. They had the pushes in multiple lanes, they went for Smoothie on a sustained support, and suddenly the pressure started working in their favor. They kept helping Impact, it all tied together, but then they made one massive crucial mistake, and that is the constant. Samsung Galaxy is playing so solid that you can't give them a single breathing room of opportunity.
Truly, that was most definitely a game-winning play to have the teleport flash engage come through and a perfect pincer attack from Samsung. Cloud9, though, that was part of the risk of running that comp that we talked about.
Right. See, the Kennen was the last ban for Samsung Galaxy here in Game 1. We also saw the Syndra coming from Cloud9 side with a Nidalee ban. Something the analyst desk thought maybe something they could do without, but also Nidalee being one of the most picked ban champions here at Worlds. It's a very scary one to leave up.
Most 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Every single game.
Also, a couple little interesting things here. Rumble rising in value. Kennen is banned. Jhin is banned now. Caitlyn rises in value a little bit, as they both actually have prioritized Caitlyn as a second pick when the Jhin is not on the table. Once again, though, Ambition steals away the Olaf.
Karma Caitlyn here would be a good rotation.
Exactly.
Because they rely so much on the movement speed burst. Yes, you can play sustained support in the lane, but the Nami doesn't accelerate the Olaf just quite as much as the Karma does. They already have the one strong range laner of the pairing, in the Jhin Caitlyn pairing. They took the Caitlyn, so this is a really good opening draft for C9. And they look to be playing a similar style as Game 2. Maybe we can see more help for Impact.
Definitely a possibility. Plus, I feel like the value of a first pick Olaf is not very high at all. You talked about the synergies that he has with other champions, but the difference between the Olaf in the early game and the Rek'Sai hasn't been as big because both these junglers do focus so heavily on the farm and have not gone for those super brutish plays of just running through a lane with Ghost on.
I would love to see an Elise here actually just lock in the early Orianna, get the Elise back from Meteos, play towards the top side of the map here. You know that Orianna outscales. You can punish Cassio early because she moves in a very defined pattern when she trades.
She's a snake. She has to serpentine, zigzag back and forth, Greppo. Honestly, though, that is a good thing that you bring up because it's a thought that a lot of the fans of Cloud9 have had is Meteos, whenever he's streaming, I see him on this Elise so often, and yet he doesn't pick it in pro play. Doesn't go for these super early aggressive Elise games because I don't know, maybe they feel like it falls off too much later. They don't have the confidence in it, later in the team fighting phase, but for whatever reason, it hasn't been there, even though every time you turn into a stream, he's 10-1 on Elise.
Yeah. The safety of kind of counter jungling with that Rek'Sai in the early game, you dip in and out in tunnels, or slingshot in and out in tunnels if it's a possibility here this game. It looks like the Orianna will be one of those lock-ins, but does the Zac attack come back in Game 3?
Not yet.
Swap off. It was just a hover. We always get baited. It's Jace for Impact.
I do like the Zac attack towards Cassiopeia in the mid lane for the same reasons that you just mentioned for the Elise Greppo. So it is definitely still an option. And I like the mind games of hovering it, but I don't think they're going to lock it in.
Watch Cuvee steal away the Zac top lane right now. But the Orianna ball can always drop too. That's a strong combination there as well with the Zac. They're just looking at the other picks here, see if they have any hard counters. Poppy would be a blocker, honestly. For Zac, Steadfast Presence is incredibly easy.
The other thing that, to me, has been kind of undervalued for all these Poppy players at Worlds, like, it's so incredibly important to have multiple ways, multiple tools to end out the games. And the Keeper's Verdict, Poppy ult, is so good at pushing down turrets later in the game when you get up into this kind of stalled out 30-minute game, either knocking back their wave clear, pushing somebody out. It's so good at pushing towards turrets. And we have actually seen a decent amount of players utilize that.
All right, Meteos. What you gonna do? Is he gonna be the Zac? We definitely need an element of aggression here. C9 have a matchup in the top lane that can definitely push. They have a bot lane that can fend for itself, especially now that the melee support has been locked in. Early game, Jensen will lose the pressure, but if Cloud9 play around top side like they did game 2, they definitely have a way into this game. Samsung Galaxy, again, looking for the mid game. Really big spike there.
And I think that's key. You have to play off of your strengths. You go super aggressive, get an early game in there, early game jungler in there, early ganks to try and get these offensive picks that they've already got off the table. I mean, they've got all range champions at the moment, and that is very good when you have a gold lead, when you have the threat of all this damage and the items to purchase, but they're gonna need some early game to really run off of.
I thought it was just the hover happiness, if you will. Get the crowd to cheer, bring the spirits back up, but he does lock in the Zac. It will be part of the game. There's much more of a delivery now for Jensen as well. But it might be the all-in that's cost Cloud9 games before if they can't hit it right. It's going to be a tough one. Samsung Galaxy looking strong with the comp they brought before, except for that Poppy in the top. A bit more speed from the bottom lane, and we saw the B-roll of Core JJ on that Tom Kench being aggressive with Ruler. Cloud9 now going to try their hand back on the red side in Game 3.
Yeah, crowd believes they're still in it. Yeah, really keen to see if Samsung can continue this dominance, because we were talking about ways of how does C9 get back in. What's the way in for them? But honestly, we can't understate just how impressive Samsung have looked. So constant in the mid game.
Definitely, and one of the scariest things is that they're running a very similar style here, where they are going to have that engage advantage. And to me, it's very important that that Samsung are one of the teams that have recognized that about Olaf. Oh my goodness, the karma's been taken away. We don't have that speed. We need to get the Sivir. That might sacrifice some pressure bottom lane though for Cloud9 and open up an area of the map that has been dominated by Ruler and Core JJ.
All right, Cloud9 looking to keep these quarterfinal hopes alive with the back against the wall. Samsung Galaxy on game point as we head into our third match. Hashtag SSG win. Hashtag C9 win. Show your support over on Twitter. We'll see how you're voting as we get into this game. Yeah. Cloud9 once again to reset their minds, start all over, and for the fans, hopefully start that reverse sweep.
And last game we had Poke and Siege versus Big on teamfight. Right now it's honestly 2 teamfight compositions.
Yep.
In the mid game.
All right, let's start prepping this Zac stuff, because
I mean, I've got a jungler on the desk here.
Zac, so I talk about the bottom lane being incredibly important.
I do that enough already. You talk about Zac.
Kobe's got the mic.
But we can combine our powers, because if the Sivir, Tom Kench try and get one of those shoves, try and get control of the minion wave, which is going to be difficult, Zac has so many ways to gank the bottom lane. We always talk about mid lane, but from that position where Sneaky's standing, if you move just a little bit down, it's very easy for Zac to hop over that wall as well and try and punish the Samsung bottom lane. It's a little bit telegraphed to always go mid as Zac, because everybody's always expecting it, and you do see the shadow on the ground. So mid laners are very used to looking for that shadow of the Zac Elastic Slingshot. However, a lot of duo laners are not quite used to it.
It is good though, because when these guys start trading in the mid lane, we saw just how long a trade could go on.
Oh, yes.
In the Orianna Cassiopeia matchup. And even if he's not there, if you're playing against a Zac and you're trading onto 20%, you can bet you're going to flash.
It is going to change the way the mid lane is played, right? I talked about the psychological profiling of each other a little bit earlier in the last game. We've determined that both Crown and Jensen are very unwilling to back down and will go trading blow for blow down to 100 health.
But Crown, he will have to burn that flash early because of the implication. The implication of a Zac gang. And here, good early zone. This is what you got to do. You step behind the range keep. Now Smoothie's left behind by his AD carry because he wants CS. Luckily, not a big punish. Look how slow they're pushing. You don't hit the minions here. You maximize uptime before level 2.
Denying a few.
Yeah, Corsair wants to walk in with the minion wave. He's escorting Ruler in, but once this wave settles, you'll see both of them walk up right now. That's what they're doing, because they're not giving him any CS. They force to Devour early, so no QE start either.
It's a long cooldown on Devour as well.
And it's really big, because a good Tom Kench player wants to start Q into Poke and then put an early point into Grey Shield after, never even skilling Devour. So C9 pressure is big already.
They're able to get onto Ruler as well. See how much they can still pressure this. 10-1 in CS, but it's a big wave to clean up for Ruler.
As a jungler, you have to read the way this bottom lane is going as well. This Scuttle Crab in the river becomes incredibly important.
Yep.
Meteos should make a beeline for it. He is going to get that alone time with the crab, so that just means that there's one area that Cloud9 bottom lane have to ward to be safe.
And that means one checkbox is done in the river, which means your ward, which usually goes in the middle of the river, can now be placed in Tri-Brush, and we could actually see Smoothie or Sneaky run for that. Look how Ambition is not even considering ganking bot. He's like, no, we're done, so we're pushed in. I haven't seen that Scuttle Crab. He's 90% sure that is down anyways. So 4JJ and Ruler are playing on an island. He can't even CS. He's in the belly of his support right now.
And this is what I talked about in Champ Select. Even though you pick out the Sivir for the speed later in the game, it might open up an area on the map for Cloud9 to actually pressure. They have not really pushed on any of these pressure points of Samsung. They've been very scared after that first game where they got beaten so badly, but this is a definite opportunity. Meanwhile, top lane, Impact by himself in the 1v2.
Ambition went in, saw red, knows he's going to have some free time top as Meteos will be on the bottom, who just delivered blue buff over to Jensen, but Samsung trying to start things off early.
As safe as the bottom lane is for Cloud9, the top lane is extremely vulnerable up here with Jace now not having flash, and Poppy being so good at setting up ganks here. The flash from Poppy can be used to stun into the wall.
Good communication too. So they know bot lane is under an island router, but won't get dove. He passed into the enemy jungle, bypassing the ward spot, Ambition that is, and then moves top lane for a really good gank. In fact, went for the escape play, but burns his summoner doing so.
Yeah, and now the thing is, for Impact, you can actually just try and CS at your turret. You got your minion wave pushing towards you in a good spot, and knowing that you don't have your flash now, try and play a little bit more conservatively. I know also, talking to a lot of the top laners, the challenger top laners, Zig specifically, did not think that the Poppy Jace matchup went in Jace's favor, simply because Poppy can build so much tank and it becomes very difficult to deal damage to him. Azael and Zig on that top lane stream went pretty in depth in it, actually, if you want to go back and check out all they had to say.
Definitely, but the tradition of Poppy at Worlds has been losing by 30 CS, keeping it at 30 CS for a while, and then building tank. Right now, Sneaky getting approached to the lane. Look at it, they're luring Ambition out. This is not a gank. This is a reset point. You just want to move up with the jungler, get rid of the minion wave, but even 3v2, there's so much folks. Smoothie is not afraid.
It's the tether almost locking down Ruler, and all of the team is forced to walk away on that one.
First turret gold is such a big objective in the current state of the game that having a winning bottom lane, winning this much, is such an asset. Now they bring down Meteos just for that turret gold.
Loving it, and they revealed Ambition in the bot lane, which means Impact, his wave was being purposely bounced in the top lane. Look at the support here. Murica. Yeah, this wave bounced. Poppy let it bounce back to try and punish Impact, but the second Ambition backed up from the top lane, Impact had a pre-push, but right now he's in danger.
Oh, the verdict is in! Cuvee, first blood!
Again, Cuvee kills Impact all by himself.
I thought that was going completely backwards. Impact had set up a giant wave that Cuvee fought in, took so much damage, and then said, the wave's gone, let's fight again. Here now in the mid lane, calls down the Reckoning Swing, and now this is going to be a kill onto Jensen. Flash goes down as well, and Crowns is still up.
C9 not aware of the cross map. They had their jungler doing so much work on that turret, but they pushed up aggressively. Impact could have just shoved in and left the lane. That's enough. He doesn't have to stay that deep. What an outplay top lane, and then Jensen also overextending.
The hugest part of, League right now. Okay, well, let's take another look at this, because
I mean, it's quite simple.
He hits level 6.
Shouldn't be there.
Goes into Taxi on the minion. Boom.
That was sick play, though. That was pretty nice.
Lollipop.
Honestly, though, what we're going to talk about is when you do have, as you say, the winning side of the map there, bottom lane, you commit your jungler, you have to retract the resources that you have on the other side of the map. The solo lanes have to realize that they're outnumbered on the other side of the map. Even though Cloud9 are gaining this big advantage on the bottom side, they continue to play super aggressively with both solo laners, and they both go down. Here we go, though. Cloud9 team play.
Nice tether. Right as the steadfast presence falls, and Meteos flies right through Eagle Eye, helping the team get the kill.
Punish him for using that flash on Impact. And VODS easily able to land it there.
Damn, it almost looked like Smoothie gave away the play by running up early, but the
Rinse and
VODS
repeat?
timing was so perfect. That was like frame perfect. I don't think he could do it any earlier.
So we did talk about his experience on Elise. Everybody remembers the Meteos Zach in his debut in the LCS many years ago. Cloud9's most dominating era.
But did Poppy even exist back then? The new Poppy?
Doesn't matter what the target is, land the slingshot.
Was able to come up with the King of the Jungle moniker, so he keeps that one going. He can come back here. It could be the reverse sweep for Cloud9, but it's a lot of work. They're going to start here. 2 games to Samsung already, and again, Cloud9 has not hesitated in the early game to start things off. And they now try to put themselves in the lead. 2K, well, 2.7K.
14 CS in the dual lane matchup lead. There's Jensen pushing. This trade right now is going okay for Impact. There's 1, 2, 3 pink wards in the river.
Yep.
Top side is in complete control. The Samsung Galaxy is desperately trying to counter that by doing bot lane invades.
Yep, definitely hard for Meteos to fight the 1v1, but he does have the advantage of his solo laners coming pretty quickly. Meanwhile, top side.
Ooh, very nice trap going out. Good dodge as well by Core JJ as they get Ruler to safety. And the bottom half of the map now is trying to be lit up by Samsung Galaxy, as well as give Meteos a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, very big steal there for Ambition to actually get that blue buff.
Yep.
Really empowers Olaf's clear speed and the threat that he can bring to that 1 versus 1. Meteos can never fight this Olaf in a 1 versus 1, so has to be very careful with the vision that they do fight. Also opens up Ambition to most definitely hand that blue buff of Samsung's own over to Crown. Top side, though, is the next target.
They saw him. They got to run. They see CoreJJ would never walk up, so he's kind of giving it away.
You're absolutely correct. That change in positioning gave it away, but it doesn't matter. Samsung Galaxy going straight under the turret with the denial from Tom Kench, and they just eat up Ambition.
Ambition just, he ran by the mid lane in full vision into the enemy jungle here. This is
also threw up his flare.
A collapse in communication here. Good E from Sneaky, but this is definitely a misplay from C9 as a team. Should never die to that gank.
Definitely has been one of the issues for Cloud9 is playing defensively, giving up CS in an area of the map that they know that they're outnumbered on or know that there's a possibility of a Samsung play.
And Ambition, he's the guy keeping Samsung in the game. Their bot lane is drowning, asking for help. He says, nope, hang in there, goes for the cross map, takes away enemy blue buff, then runs up, gets a kill.
It was critical that the kill credit did go over to Ruler as well, I believe.
Yeah, definitely.
Keep that pick as a first priority. Olaf, and it's been coming up big. Beautiful flash by Crown. Actually dodges all of the engage, not even slowed there.
Quick double summoner burn there from Cloud9. And remember how important the vision around the mid lane is going to be for the way that those 2 mid laners like to play.
Yep. Takes a lot longer for that flash and ghost to come back up, so there might be possibility of another attack for C9. As Crown is going to go ahead and pick up blue. They'll get an idea of where Ambition is on the map as he still hovers topside. But Core JJ, looks like he's going to start getting wards around and start making it a little easier for Samsung to find engages.
And that mid lane, even though they're timing this with a Jensen recall, could be a jungler support gank as Smoothie is there.
Yeah, but the Abyssal Voyage comes in. Unfortunate that Meteos has to bounce out on that one. They are keeping that clock going for engages, and it never goes too long before we see Cloud9 engage again to try and get this game in their favor.
But that's Crown poked out of the mid lane right there. While having blue buff Ruler right now, being challenged. Another Devour.
Core JJ with a lot of key saves here. Jensen, though,
very far pushed up. Not expecting Cuvee from the bot lane, but the presence of junglers throws this one just off balance. Everybody backs off.
And that is a matchup I want to revisit because Azael and Zig's conversation was so interesting in the 1 versus 1 matchup of the Poppy chase. That was a roam from Cuvee after pushing up the lane. He's getting to the tanky point. He doesn't even have the boots yet, though. And we'll have to see if Impact can actually pressure in the split push, because we talk about how Jace can take down turrets so quickly. He does have the Black Cleaver.
To the skies, damage denied in the bot lane. A little back and forth love taps for the top side. Nobody's fully engaging on this one. As Impact goes for those power shots, does not finish it with the shot blast.
And look how confidently he's playing that matchup, even though there's
Absolutely.
no vision for impact. So that is such a scary thing to do, trading like that versus a champion that also has more CC than you do. All right, here we go mid lane though. Jensen dodges the first axe and the second. 2 for 2.
Yeah, a lot of these corner ganks coming out. Another same play here. Has to be careful if the ultimate there sticks from the Poppy. There's a good chance Impact has to flash.
Impact actually drawing attention of the jungler as well. Ambition down to the bottom side, walks over the ward, and Impact gonna give that one up.
Yeah, and the same thing can't happen in the top lane. Meteos has been spotted out. He's having a very hard time committing. Looking for counter jungle instead because they just quite can't go for the dive. Exhaust and double flash available on Ruler and CoreJJ. They're holding on. There is a teleport though. If Impact bases switches the side of the map, they could go for a 4v2 dive, hoping that Cuvee is late.
Double pink lane on the first 1-2 pick here for Cloud9 and that Caitlyn Karma. They want it to be able to come out strong. They want to be able to use sneaky towards this late game, scale the Orianna up as well. They have time in this game, but I don't know if Samsung is going to give it to him.
Ghost is up on Crown, but no flash. Meteos is in prime position, looking for a gank out of Fog of War. Here he goes.
Right onto Crown, flash is still down.
Miscommunication.
Shockwave as well, as Jensen tried to follow up a little short on the command protect. Good heal pushed out of Ruler there as Sneaky goes hard.
So the thing there is that Meteos did not want to follow that gank under the turret because of the possibility of Petrifying Gaze, you know, killing him under it. But he does have the Zac passive where you can die, and just for getting off that Shockwave. The possibilities, though, because they don't have vision, are super risky, right? They don't have full confidence that they can finish off that kill, and it is a risky play to go for.
Oh, that dealt no damage.
It looks like he's healing him. That's unfortunate for him back there on the top side. His turret's going to be falling quite soon. Cloud9 does already have that turret in their favor, which is why they've swapped Sneaky and Smoothie, but it looks like it may be evened up here as Cuvee just needs about one more minion wave at the turret.
It seems so frustrating to play against Samsung Galaxy. They always rubber band in the mid game, so you got to stretch them so thin that they snap before you get there. But so far, C9 hasn't been able to do that. They got up around 1,000 gold early with some good moves. They had the potential to get up in the first game too with some really great roams, but they couldn't quite execute them. The last two ganks in the mid lane failed too here, so as a team, C9 still have work to do. Looking at this next tower, the lane gank from Meteos could be the counter. Look.
Nice try, but he comes out just on the left of the Abyssal Voyage, not on the Cupcake. Sneaky's the focus here. They're going to go ahead and get a quick kill over to Ambition. Now over to Smoothie. Ambition very close to going down, and the Boomerang cuts Sneaky down. They're trying to exit the fight now. The teleport does not come in from Impact. It is, however, a double kill for Meteos. They might be able to follow this. He's too low to dive, even with the passive.
Here comes Crown, though, and he's
Crown, a good angle to cut this off. If he gets a miasma in, it could finish up some damage.
Slip and slide!
Exactly how it happened. Another flash as Jensen and Crown basically in the same mindset of the attack. Who's first? Looking for the buckler. Cuvee not even going for the shield. He goes instantly for the kill. Could be eat up. Yes, it's going to be CoreJJ once again to deny the kill, and now they're on the blobs. Coming up so huge from cross map, Samsung Galaxy basically wipes out Cloud9.
CoreJJ with some massive devours in that fight, buying so much time. Even the miraculous double kill wasn't enough. This is just some stalling right here. C9 is looking at the turret, not at the kills.
Exactly. After all of these kills have gone down, Cloud9, because they died earlier, get to be out on the map again and look for the objective. He's too tanky, man.
Yeah, you gotta do
He's actually too tanky.
You gotta do the short version of that quote.
Yeah. But yeah, that is the benefit of full armor stacking since he was in Jace's lane. Doesn't take much damage from either of those abilities. Cloud9, though, do claim the objective afterwards.
Yeah, let's see. Well, that was a beautiful exchange of abilities. It all starts CoreJJ delivering the Olaf. I don't think Sneaky quite expected to get out. Counter gank is great, but it's so hard for Sneaky to get out of Ambition's range right there. Good reach from Meteos, though. Again, Devour right here, super good from CoreJJ. But Meteos realizes he can win that play.
Cuvee has been...
see that it was Cuvee from that topside fight.
Cuvee has been so big for Samsung. I mean, he interrupts the Jace, then he's going to be able to teleport after finishing that turret. He got so much for Samsung in that last play.
Yeah, we didn't see the good shockwave from Jensen, knowing that would force Crown's flash. But in this matchup, it's always a two-part trade. First shockwave gets the flash, the second one at least zones him out or kills him.
Yeah, you take that trade every single time. And now that it's up to them to punish, because Crown does have Ghost, but no flash available.
Cuvee right back to work on the top turret. Gold pretty much even after all of this chaos. But the 3 kills are on to Meteos, so he's still going to have to be very, very big here in the upcoming fights for Cloud9. Kills spread across Cuvee, Ambition, and Ruler. Looking much better for Samsung Galaxy, but Cloud9 has still been able to find their ends in these fights.
Both junglers centered around the top lane right now.
And remember, in those trades, Impact wants the extended trade so he can build up the Black Cleaver stacks and he can whittle them down, get those auto attacks in as Cuvee's trying to run away from the trade, whereas Cuvee, he wants the short trades. He can do it under the shield of the Buckler, going with the combo, and then just disengage.
Ambition stole the Scuttle Crab right there. There was push up in the bot lane. Samsung keeping the map open.
Yeah.
They want to use that Tahm Kench. They popped on the hunt, it seems.
Actually, a flood of vision there for them as well. Meteos on the chase, but Olaf ultimately will keep Ambition safe. Meanwhile, bottom side.
And they commit to the objectives here. C9 clear out the minion waves. That leaves mid exposed, but C9 opting for more defense. That's the power of that vision that you just mentioned. So hard for them to get out. Meteos is still committing.
Yeah, the team is just behind him. The speed up not there. They do actually have a lot of catch potential in that Dissonance and Karma Shield. So there's the potential for those to work if everybody is on board with the play. It was just that Cloud9 was a bit too far back on the slingshot length. 160 to 165. Impact and Cuvee meet back up in the top lane as Cuvee is going to start finishing more items, or I should say getting his recipes.
But because they ran Samsung off of the bottom side and Meteos kept up the delayed chase, you delay the back. I don't know if they'll be able to finish off the turret, but they're working towards it. Here comes Samsung for the engage.
Yeah, they have a lot of zone though, and they have enough damage to actually burn Ambition down. Meteos can re-engage here. Smoothie gets tagged. That's the flash.
Calling for Shockwave. And the Devour. It was almost like if this one hits, we might take it, throw the Miasma down, and Smoothie looked like a good target. Flash down on him. And maybe something that Ambition can work on after. He makes sure to get the counter jungling while he has time.
Yeah, that's the thing with landing poke onto Olaf. He heals so quickly in the jungle. He can easily go right back to full here and then rejoin the siege. It's up to Sneaky and Smoothie now to try and clear.
Yeah, but they're using their abilities for poke, not for wave clear. That's because Meteos is lurking around.
Whoa!
Good eat up by Core JJ, making sure none of the poison was actually triggered into that turret damage. And they get out safely after the Let's Bounce. Meteos saving the turret as well.
Core JJ on this Tahm Kench. Ridiculous amount of saves on teammates with the Devour so far. He is always there. And even with that quick trap placement there from Sneaky, Tahm Kench was the one who ate that as well. Gobbling up everything and keeps Crown safe. Now they're going in on Sneaky though.
If he can get to Sneaky, actually Steadfast Presence wears off. It's Smoothie. Smoothie's flash just went down. The rinse and repeat works. And that's the verdict as well that calls for Sneaky to go down on the engage.
Cuvee, such a dirty Poppy player. He reads the flash E perfectly and then knocks Sneaky into tower. Goes for the finish ulti on 2 targets. And then finishes off Sneaky. That was super well played. This guy is so aware of when he can actually knock people into walls.
And the first dragon of the game, a little neglected, but they finally get to it after all the fights. A cloud over to Samsung Galaxy, and we'll see this engage one more time.
Yep, pretty big engage here. As you mentioned, Cuvee, he was looking at Sneaky the entire time and lands the stun right there, able to get the double, plus a lot of pressure there for Samsung. Cloud9, though, they're still in this one. Still definitely have the possibility for the big Zac slingshot into the Shockwave. That's what people are looking for.
Now we got to go back to champs like when we talked about, you know, what do these team composition want to do, and it's all about team fighting. And C9's way to win this game is to get Elastic Slingshot that doesn't get interrupted, and combined with a big Shockwave. It's very hard because there's always that Devour from Core JJ.
And on top of that, Zac is one of the most vision-reliant junglers. He's right up there with Fiddlesticks, where you really have to control your defensive true sight to clear out enemy wards so that they don't see you charging up. If they see you channeling Elastic Slingshot, there's 0% chance that you're going to hit somebody. There's a high % chance that they'll bait you in and they have flashes ready and they'll counter you.
Words out of my mouth.
Be very, very cautious.
Ambition lurking around the corner. Sneaky has to be so careful here. Does not see him coming.
Well, there's the hit. Okay, so Crown, Sneaky's having a trouble. He doesn't even get any help because this was so sporadic by Samsung Galaxy to the top side. C9 thought they could protect this one, but it's going to be Meteos going down as well. The pass will give them a little bit more trouble. They're going to feed this one over. TP in from Impact.
It's actually moving, so it works.
Yep. We're going to see how they get it. Meteos is going to stay alive a little bit longer. Good damage coming in from the Soul Flare from Smoothie, but it's not enough to finish anybody off. It just gives Samsung more time to turn around and find the priority target. 3 members of Cloud9 down as turret number 3.
Every time I've actually seen a teammate use teleport on a Zac Blob, and you're like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah, remember, you can teleport on blobs. They haven't gotten the kill. Here goes Impact flashing on Ruler, though.
Nice job by Ruler to spell shield the knockaway, but there's still enough follow-up damage. That's all that Impact is building as he goes for the kill there. Cuvee looking to push these guys out, but they all go right on him. Cuvee's already known the core JJ's coming in, and that's going to be Impact having to flash. Already did, cannot get over the wall as he attempted to actually to the skies over to one of the Raptors.
Oh no!
Oh. He says hello, he says goodbye.
Says who's next?
Says who's next.
Meteos is
Sneaky
next.
as well, throwing it up because he says, yeah, my team's right here. Let's see how long you can fight for ambition. How ambitious are you? And that one goes to Jensen.
And it leaves chip damage on the mid lane turret here. Crown pushing up, Samsung in control. Meteos flying from the jungle again. It's all on Meteos right now. He needs to find these openings the same way Ambition is picking people off. Samsung is honestly reading the game so well that they're predicting where C9 is going to go, and they're always waiting in a trap here. This play was so beautiful.
I know, the vision set up here from Samsung. They take out Sneaky, only gets off maybe 3 autos the entire time. And then Cloud9, Meteos does defend decently under the turret here with Smoothing coming in to try and add some damage. But so many times we see these teleports channeled only for them to be canceled and the Zac to die anyway.
It's a super cool interaction though, because the blob stays in the same place, but in essence it is actually still moving. So people expected the movement to be the indicator of when Meteos comes out of his passive, but it's actually timer.
Yeah.
So he will jump out and always catches people slightly off guard.
And if, Cuvee had not interrupted that teleport and stopped Impact, that would have been the damage they needed to clean up those extra couple kills. So once again, it feels like we just return over and over to these plays from Cuvee, even though he's not
aware. And coming into Worlds, it was kind of like Cuvee plays safe in the top. They'll be fine if he just kind of farms and doesn't die. But he is literally putting up play after play and not even really taking enough damage to go down in these fights. Hasn't had to really flash away.
Even like that,
up in time.
It looks so easy, but he activates Salty right before that knock comes out from Jace, or mid-knock, because otherwise the channel gets cancelled here. So he's such a great Poppy player. On a champion with a relatively easy kit, he's definitely maxing out and getting the most out of it. He was one of the top laners that also killed Someday there over in Korea. But that achievement became less and less positive because everybody was killing Someday. But he's definitely showing up at Worlds. What a consistently strong top laner. But both performing on carries and utility now with the Poppy.
Consistent as well through 3 games of this quarterfinal best of 5 and live damage dealt. This is still happening. This is throughout the full game, and a Poppy right near the top of the list.
Okay, Cloud9 now actually for the first time really have a pretty good cooldown advantage there. Olaf in the late game without his ultimate and without the ghost, super low impact. And we'll see if Cloud9 can actually force anything around this cooldown timer. The Vision War has been very important, so clearing these wards out is not a small thing, and it is definitely going to be a boon for them as far as the mid-game team fight.
It's only a minute of a window of a minute on that Olaf ultimate though. 63 seconds is the cooldown right now. Sneaky, no, not again. Any wards. I just relate. I've been that guy that's face sick so often. You don't want people to, once or twice is enough. 3 times, it just hurts.
Well, that fear comes back each time now. Sneaky knows he can't get too close. It's either going to be a trap or a ward before him in these next instances. 4K lead here for Samsung Galaxy as they start to encroach on Cloud9's jungle and move their wards in as well.
But they're reading the game so well, always challenging areas, forcing people to face stick at least, maybe burn wards, kill them immediately. They're so aware of their surroundings right now. choking out the vision, and again, setting up for another free objective.
Yep. And even though Samsung have a composition where they can dive because they have triple tanks and a top Kench to devour anyone who gets low, they're not the type of team to really take a huge risk. So they just get the very easy Drake, move up for the turret, objective first. Impact!
Impact between a Poppy, a Rock, a Hard Place, as well as a Tom Kench. And he goes down as the second tier in bot lane falls. Samsung Galaxy once again at the doorstep of Cloud9's base, sub 30 minutes.
Yeah, people were about to say, what about no risk? But that wasn't risk because they saw the Caitlyn in the top lane. So that looked deep, but it was very calculated at the same time. They're always aware of where all the enemy dots are on the minimap. And then they high percentage plays that are guaranteed to work, if not, low summoners.
Exactly, the informed decision there. Not going to cost them anything at all. They do get the Drake. They do get the turret. On top of it, they also get the cake. Field impact.
You can't have the cake too.
The Drake and the cake.
2 Clouds over to Samsung Galaxy. Ambition's loving the speed to keep these undertows going. And he'll be cross-map every single chance he gets. Looking to sweep wards and also set up a nice bait around Baron.
Yeah, and they're building this comp around Ambition to speed him up in these team fights. They even took such a large hit in the 2v2 matchup, but he's making him pay dividends here. Tag team here, 1 in, 1 out.
Yep, 1 in, 1 out. Perfect way to call it. Sneaky, just too close right now to Cuvee, and that means death mostly. The reset attack by Ruler to make sure he gets another one in. And the boomerang didn't even need to come across, as he said, duck, a flash and a heal blown by Sneaky. And it's just going to be that much easier for Samsung Galaxy to find their priority targets as they're pushing so fast before these flashes even come back up.
Yeah, it looks like the stress is getting to C9 there, because that was technically a flashable play before he got knocked into the wall. Cuvee so decisive here. Right now in a 4v5 scenario, Meteos flies in.
Meteos is in. There's the Let's Bounce. He's right on top of Cuvee. Core JJ very low. Thick skin and shield as well to get himself out with that face of the mountain, and Baron is going to live a little bit longer, as well as the rest of Cloud9. And with Sneaky being down, awesome play by C9.
Impact's not finished. He wants to get blood.
Can he do it? He's going to waste a shot there. Almost looking for the to the skies. Can he get that E shot in? Pushes Ambition to the right, switches around. The empowered auto is enough, and he finds the kill.
What a great hold by C9. It looked almost impossible. Jensen did not go for the early trigger on the Shockwave. He moved his ball first, placed it on Meteos, then moved it with the command attack, got a 3-man Shockwave, and then Meteos, right before he was about to drop, flashes out of the pit.
Zach inside the pit with the extra Baron damage, with the Shockwave. Cloud9 defending
to this Baron.
They're gonna have to burn it down. There's not a whole lot of damage here as well. Be very careful, it's 4 members. Ambition doesn't have to be up for this fight. And it is Sneaky very, very low. Cannot even get in range of Crown for the poison. Whoa! Going down. Very, very close from Impact to get himself a kill, but he falls in the Baron pit with Baron damage. Now they're onto Smoothie, and now they're going for Jensen still. Can he get a dissonance on? There's no mana, and Cuvee's on the chase. Meteos goes down in the back of the fight as we swing back to the Tri-Brush, and it's going to be a few more attacks. He puts the Protect on. That's a lot of damage coming from the hit. Throws up the C9 Shiner, and he makes it out alive.
Ooh, that is going to be a Samsung Baron, but you can see what Cloud9 were thinking there. They were like, we have the window. We killed the jungler. You know, they got a lot of the vision down, so they're going to try and burn it and hope that Samsung were a little slow on their recalls. They got the Baron down to 3,000 health, but Samsung arrived, they chase him off, and now they're going to be the ones marching towards the inhibitor turrets.
The start of the call was fine, but right here, I think Meteos is actually going to leap out of the pit, and that's what questions.
He got ejected.
Okay.
Not his choice.
Meteos is excused.
Why did he slingshot out?
Yeah, I was like, why did he go out? That was such a good re-engage. So that's actually, again, Cuvee. Knocks one guy into the wall and Impact, knocks the jungler out. This combo was dirty from time, but it was just a little bit too late.
That heal from Ruler put just enough health back on to Crown and himself to stay alive for Meteos.
Damn, Cuvee's playing so well on his Poppy. Obviously, Olaf was not there in the last fight. And Sneaky may as well not have been there. He got early miasma on him, and while he was spamming his ET, you could see he was kind of gap goals, but he wasn't moving. He realized he was on miasma, took a few steps backward. By that point, he was already on 20% HP. No impact on the fight here. Really good target selection from Samsung. Divide and conquer.
Meteos and Cuvee from Wet Noodle fighting on the left side. Ruler's got himself a baroned up minion wave with help from Core JJ and Ambition, and that's going to be an inhibitor turret as well. When Samsung has made it in the base, Samsung has stayed for the long haul. It looks like they will play this one safe. They do not want to chance anything. And Sneaky right now trying to put as much damage on as he can to make sure they don't come back on this time around.
Yeah, crowd favorite C9 taken down here. I do hope that we get some cheers for the Samsung lineup.
Absolutely.
They're playing incredibly crisp.
Good play, always to be respected. And Samsung, very unlikely, as we even heard from the analyst desk and Papa Smithy, to be in this position after having to beat KT Rolster 0-16 throughout the season and find their wins. And then it was really undecided what would happen, but they are deciding for a lot of people right now. Samsung is.
Looks like Cloud9 are thinking about pulling the trigger on this tower defense, chunking out Ambition. They also have Meteos waiting up on the top side.
He is split from Jensen though, so you can't look for the ball combo, but they have to, because if when Jensen and Meteos play at the same time, it is too easy of a read, so they need to take a different page out of the playbook. Right now, Ambition being poked.
Seeing if he has to blow that Ragnarok. Actually doesn't have it, so he uses the Ghost. May turn around to fight here for a second. And Ambition, he just came back up, and he goes back down.
Every kill is important for Cloud9, trying to get back into this game. And they're closing in on Ruler next. Meteos has the line of sight.
Oh, he gets juked.
Oh, a little bit of a dodge there. Puts on the fancy feet, and Core JJ's with him to go for impact. They get that hit.
Watch
and
out
they
for
get that
Cuvee.
summoner heal from Sneaky as well for the movement speed on top of it.
I'm really liking the aggression that Ruler decides to put out. Sometimes he's not afraid to dash in or step in aggressively for skill shots, but he does it in a calculated way. Reminds me of a smarter Vasily. Vasily always used to dodge aggressively, but he never not dodged aggressively.
Gotta mix it up a little bit there.
Ruler definitely mixes it up.
All right, Meteos actually going on a one-man Drake steal mission here, it looks like.
Not even taking damage as Crown hits that with his spell vamp. It looks like they're going to go ahead and be able to push Meteos out. Crown will go back to soloing out this Mountain Drake. And that'll be Dragon number 3 here as Ruler comes by for a few hits, and he says thank you.
By the way, just an update for Cloud9 side. Meteos on the Zac, full tank Zac, actually has the most damage dealt to champions for Cloud9, which is saying a lot considering they're running the 3 carry team comp once again.
Now, is that a good thing?
Well,
or a bad thing?
People are always surprised by Zac damage. And as a tank, you get a lot of mileage out of your tank items by staying in the fights for a very long time. Also, you get focused last. So a lot of that comes from them killing Sneaky very early. So Sneaky's going to be down very often. And people, you know, not trying to disengage from the Zac damage. So you get a lot of AoE. You get a lot of long duration fights with which to get off. But it just also speaks to the importance that he's going to have in their defense here. Their last attempt.
And you can see Samsung Galaxy also playing around. That ward on your screen right there is the blocker for any flank engages.
Yep.
Meteos almost has to hide behind a little bit of rubble there. There is a way to hide out of line of sight there, but it's very hard to do so.
They just ping the bottom wave. They know C9 is going to have to spread themselves thin if they want to save damage on that bottom Nexus turret, but it's about the fight. Can they find one here?
And for C9, they need to make Samsung forget about the Orianna ball. They need to move them out left and right and then pray that the Orianna ball surprises them with a shockwave. Ruler is no spell shield right now, so technically he could eat the Zac combo. C9 so tense right now. One more inhib means very likely that the game is over, so you could definitely see them set up to pull the trigger right now. They're aware of this. 10,000 gold deficit. Meteos, you can hear him channel. He's going
to the side. Spell shield goes up. He'll be eaten up inside Core JJ. They keep him safe. Cuvee's taking the brunt of everything from Cloud9, and the rest of the members make it out pretty healthy. Now they look for the mid-side turret.
Jensen did save his shockwave there. Didn't blow it on the engage. Meteos takes a lot of damage moving towards mid, though.
Yeah, Samsung always posturing away from C9. They keep him very split. They kept the Ambition in the mid lane. He too aggro.
Just
Switch it back up
becoming
the top lane.
a game of ring around the rosy right now. Crown on to Jensen. Jensen out of mana. He's going to have to go back to the Fountain Impact as well, getting pushed out on the middle inhibitor turret, and it looks like Samsung is here to stay inside the base.
So methodical here from Samsung. C9 left with so little opportunity. Meteos goes in again, but gets stopped.
Locket of the Iron Solari into Steadfast Presence pretty much shuts Meteos down. Core JJ gobbles him up, and they're going to devour the rest of the blobs. A good attempt by Impact to keep him alive. That's the hit. The shockwave comes in from Jensen, but no members of Samsung Galaxy fall. And now they have to wait for the minions to get on the turret, so they're looking for more Cloud9 members.
Looks like with all the inhibitors down, all Samsung have to do are wait for the minions to assist.
37:30 on the clock. Samsung having the fastest game times. Keeps them pretty speedy here. Samsung looking for the last Nexus turret. Is Impact doing his damnedest to deliver the damage through the Sock Blast. To the skies in, he flashes over and takes down Crown. That's a lot of front-end damage that SSG loses, so Galaxy's gonna have to back out and try their hand again in just a few. It's time for cleanup crew from Cloud9.
Can they take down Cuvee? Here comes Tom Kench looking for the Devour.
Getting that movement speed. The flash is forward, actually. They're gonna be able to drop Core JJ on this one. So to go in, they don't get Cuvee. That's gonna be ace in the hole. Pushes himself away, gets a little more distance there. And the inhibitor that came up goes back down in that bot lane.
Right, this means that Cloud9 have to stay inside the base, constantly clearing minions. This Baron on the map right now is Samsung's.
That's so huge because playing 2 versus 3 inhibitors makes it twice as hard because you only have 2 creeps coming in every lane. But essentially, the super creeps, they triple if you lose all 3 inhibitors. Because you get the super creep from the 3rd lane, and then they double in every lane as well. So you go from 2 super creeps per wave to 6 in total. 3 times as hard. Yeah, I love this combo. The TP to get Meteors back with the Orianna ulti, but it's just simply too late for C9.
They can't line up all the cooldowns. Samsung continually offensive move after offensive move.
They're even waiting. Oh, they killed it. They were waiting for Core JJ, and when he was a second away from spawning, they're like, no, you want this? Nope, you're the support. You don't get Baron.
He's 5-1-13. Very good kill participation in this game. I'm sure he's feeling good already without that Baron buff, and the team feeling even better as they move in for what could be a final push with minions in each lane. A little hesitation on the bot lane as they drop the last minions of Cloud9's side, and C9 to put up their last defense here at 40 minutes into the game. Impact very, very close to going down. Samsung Galaxy is going to be on to the Nexus 40 minutes in. They came in hungry to book their ticket over to the Big Apple, and it looks like Samsung Galaxy will be moving on to the semifinals at Madison Square Garden.
And these guys, they started in the group of death. They finished their last 3 games in that group convincingly. They came into quarterfinals and they take down C9 in such a convincing fashion. They are more than worthy of praise. What a consistently strong team this Samsung Galaxy is. And sadly, this is the end of the road for C9.
All lanes from Samsung showing up. Cuvee had huge times where he was the star. Ruler and Core JJ both with their moments. This looks like a very, very scary team to try and face in the semifinals, whoever their opponent may be.
And these two teams shared quite a bit of the same champion pool. Hear the crowd giving much deserved cheers to Samsung Galaxy through their play. Not even showing that much as they move on to the semifinals, running back-to-back compositions that were very similar. And outstanding play from all the players across the board. Core JJ in the bottom in one of a very new position to him. Amazing.
And you could just see what utility and support could do for a team as well. They had so many plays that could have turned exactly around if the teleport landed. But Cuvee stopped every single teleport that Impact attempted, even the ones behind this turret. Core JJ had so many devours that ended up working out. The support from the top laner and the support player here for Samsung helped them so much.
Definitely great communication on display from the Samsung team. For Cloud9 as well, respect and being cheered off the stage for getting to this point at Worlds.
Yeah.
Incredible, incredible opponents that they've had to face, high level of competition, and the road for NA is over.
And we're just waiting to get an interview with the players, and we have to talk about how Cloud9 did this as well. Very strong play throughout. Looking at Jensen in the mid, Sneaky was able to come up, but we look back at how they really got here, and Impact was playing so good in the top lane, and teams made sure to shut that down as much as they could. And it definitely seemed like that's what Cloud9 was lacking. The fact that Impact couldn't get going again, and not saying it's his fault, teams made sure that Impact couldn't get going again.
Yeah, I mean, Cuvee standing up in that top lane, pretty much 1 versus 1, so many solo kills, but yeah, moving forward, definitely going to have to be scared of Samsung. I mean, people were already talking about SKT and how far they're going to go because they've shown so many styles in group stages.
Yep.
Samsung have also shown quite a few styles now.
And there was definitely progression from C9 throughout the games. I felt like they could identify throughout the series at least some moments where they could get back into the game. Some weren't executed perfectly. There were clear errors in communication. But it's so tough to play against such an opponent that is so willing to take it slow. You know these guys are so confident because they're not making rash decisions. They're only making the 20 or 30% risky plays, and they back up for all the rest because they know their bot lane was getting pushed in constantly. Sivir Tom Kenshi was getting murdered, slapped around. And Vision's like, nope, I trust you guys got this. He counter jungles, keeps the pace relatively even in the game, and then they wait. 1 or 2 good moments is all Samsung needs to claim the victory. We need to see what happens once they reach other opponents to have a more brutal early game, punish them harder.
Especially from a team that has so many new and young members, right? You know, even though a lot of the players on Samsung have played in different leagues and they've been playing for a while, they all came together in a pretty short amount of time. And the communication and the synergy that they have for players, you know, who haven't been playing together for multiple years is one of the most surprising parts. Because that's with SKT, you know, Faker and Bengi for years, right? But Samsung, definitely impressive. Right off the
see
go.
Ambition as well finally makes it here to a Worlds, and he doesn't look like he's going to let that go. He is riding the wave that Samsung is putting behind.
Yeah, that guy, he was, up until the start of this World, the best player to have never made World. Even had a role swap going on.
The role swaps are always so impressive to me. That, in addition to being, you know, one of the older side of players in general, I always start cheering for them because we're like, yes, I'm an old man too. If he can do it.
Cuvee's coming back as a top laner, inspired by Cuvee.
That's the key. You have to change roles to freshen it up. You get a new allotment of time. Prepo, what are you going to be next?
That's where I went wrong,
Mid?
man. Let's get that Anivia, baby.
So now it is time to join Shox on stage for a word with Samsung Galaxy's Titan of the top lane.
Thank you very much, Riv. Actually in a sweet spot here with overlooking the stands. First up, congratulations, Cuvee. You guys have made it to the semifinals in a very nice 3-0 over Cloud9. How do you feel you personally performed in this series?
우선 8강 진출 축하드리고요. 이번 8강전에서 3대 0으로 매우 이제 좋은 경기력으로 이제 4강 진출하셨는데 이번 8강에서 본인의 경기력에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시나요?
이번 경기력에서는 제가 할 수 있는 걸 다 할 수 있을 것 같아서 굉장히 만족스럽고 앞으로도 이런 경기력으로 계속 하겠습니다.
I'm very satisfied that I gave everything I could to the game, and I just hope that I can play as good as today's game in the future games.
Yeah. And applause for that phenomenal performance. There is a lot still left to come due to your first seed in the groups. You got a favorable draw, and a lot of people are putting Samsung already in the finals. But how are you looking towards your semifinal versus H2K or Albux Nox Luna?
이제 삼성팀이 조별에서 1위를 차지함으로써 이제 매우 좀 좋은 8강 대진을 받았는데 지금 이제 비록 많은 사람들이 삼성은 지금 현재 대진에서는 결승전까지 올라갈 수 있다고 예측하고 있지만 이제 다음 4강전에서 붙을 수 있는 H2K나 또는 ANX과의 그 팀 대해서 어떻게 생각하시나요?
이제 H2K가 제 생각으로 올라올 것 같고 무시할 수 없는 팀이라고 생각하기 때문에 충분히 준비를 많이 해서 상대하도록 하겠습니다.
For now, I think H2K has a better chance to advance to semifinals, and they're a really good team, and I don't think we could play like easily at them at all. So we're gonna try our best and prepare our best for the semifinals.
Right, we will see what happens. The story of Samsung in this World is very interesting. A lot of people doubted you before the group stage, but then you got first seed. Now you're going to New York in the semifinal. How have your own expectations, your hopes, and your goals evolved over the past couple of games and weeks?
그 삼성이 이제 대회 시작 전에는 그렇게 많은 사람들이 이제 삼성팀이 이렇게 좋은 성적을 낼 줄 몰랐고 좀 아직 검증이 필요하다고 얘기했지만 이제 조별에서 1위도 통과했고 8강에서 지금 3대 0으로 진출하셨는데요. 이제 큐베 선수 개인적으로는 대회를 진행하면서 그 대회에 대한 기대치가 어떻게 발전하셨나요?
이제 저희는 이제 롤드컵에 진출하면서부터 상당히 잘해졌다고 느꼈기 때문에 그게 큰 걱정은 안 했고 앞으로 이제 대회를 하면서 더 성장할 수 있을 것 같습니다.
기대치는 따로 없고 우승할 수 있는 기대치? Okay. So even when we qualified for World Championship, we were really satisfied with our own performance. So we had belief in ourselves that we could play well at the tournament. And I think we'll keep on improving, so I have high hopes for our team.
All right, we will see what happens. Again, congratulations. Fantastic run into the semifinals. Samsung and Cuvee. Dash, wrap up the day.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Cuvee there and the rest of Samsung Galaxy going to be very happy with the 3-0 sweep in their quarterfinal, moving themselves on to New York City. And let's just try and approach how they did it tonight. I mean, each game got progressively longer, and whether or not that's C9 learning or Samsung, changing their compositions and more a product of the games themselves, what are your guys' thoughts?
Samsung obliterated C9, and I think they should set their sights on the World Championship now. Like, the performance they put in the group stage to now, and the fact that they are likely going to be able to make it to the finals, they just continue to get better. And I also love the fact that Crown apologized before he even did this. He said, "I'm sorry, NA fan, but I too came here to win." He's just really polite dude.
Confidence is a good thing.
Yep, very much so. You got to have confidence coming into a matchup like this. If we approach just this game specifically to break it down just for a moment, we have to look at the fact that, they went for the Zac, the Orianna. They did their best. And, of course, Meteos did come up with a few early kills. But it still seemed like for Cloud9, it was more execution errors, riddled with execution in what were moments of maybe good decision-making, just not quite being able to capitalize on it.
I mean, the first thing that I noticed is that this is definitely the game where potentially C9 have 3 winning lanes. So even though the Zac is not the highest pressure jungler, especially compared to the Olaf, it's still 3 winning lanes and this long-ranged artillery kind of ganker. So it looked like this could definitely be the game where you snowball early to mid, get a big lead. And although C9 were ahead, they were never ahead by enough, given the comp they were facing. So even though it felt like they had momentum in this game, they weren't kind of dotting their I's, crossing their T's, growing a lead. And the fact that Samsung stayed within touching distance of gold throughout the mid game was actually winning for Samsung.
Well, it was heartbreaking for me watching the lack of synergy between Cloud9, particularly the ganks in the mid lane. We would have liked to see, once again, Meteos punishing Crown without any summoners, but it just didn't happen. The synergy with the Orianna and the Zac, as cool as it is to see those 2 champions together, when they pull it off right, they never did it. And that's the kind of play that you need to be making if you're looking to advance to the semifinals and make a run for a world contender. Cloud9 didn't have any of that except for one play in the entire series, and that was with Sneaky and Meteos synergy. And if you just don't have that with any lanes, you're not going to get too far.
And while we talk about C9 being in the position to push the pace here in this game, it was Samsung's ability to strike back in the moment that really pushed them forward, which is showcased in our replay, brought to you by Acer. Top lane here, C9 being the aggressors, but completely turned by Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah, and this started off with the great ultimate from Core JJ. He brings in Ambition, and Sneaky doesn't have any way of retreating. Ambition was always in the right place at the right time. But then you also look at the continuation of this fight. Down on the bottom side, you can see the Poppy actually interrupts the teleport coming in from the Jace. That puts Meteos, even though he's able to get 2 kills, in a pretty positive position, but they're able to stop the teleport, and it means Poppy can come in later on the extended fight.
Yeah, and once he stops it, he's able to take the bottom turret and then use the wards that were placed earlier by Core JJ to TP to the top side, and they just need to stall out here. You know you can tank the turret safely with the Tahm Kench, just wait for the Poppy to get in. They do just that, and even though Jensen mispositions a little bit, there really isn't anything for him to do. They're going to get killed.
Well, you talk about the top lane matchup also, the Poppy versus Jace, another solo kill for Cuvee in a tough matchup in this game. It's 2 times, not just this time we saw, but there was also a second interrupt on those big teleport plays. So Cuvee, once again, really lighting up the Rift.
Yeah, and I want to continue and hammer that point there, because Cuvee is going to be the player who picks up our MVP for the series here. And really, I mean, highlight reel for him. You mentioned the solo kills. I mean, 6 solo kills coming into this series, 5 tonight. I mean, that's absolute insanity.
And I touched on this play, on his development, on his Smeb-esque roots. I mean, think about it. He was actually having a very average LCK summer till they finally beat KT. He was the only player to lose all 19 games in that streak. He kind of finally overcame that unstoppable objective in taking down Someday. And since then, he's been a new player. He's taken his play to a different level, and he's been right up there. It used to be Duke, Someday, Smeb. These are the 3 top lane Korean gods. Cuvee's not ready to join that list just yet, but damn if he's not really close.
And 3 super solid games on 3 different champions with fairly varying playstyles. This guy not only showed dominance, but he did it on a multitude of champions.
Exactly. What I loved about his play today is that he had everything. He stopped TPs, he had great TPs, amazing team fights, solo kills, roams, you name it. He was doing everything for the team, and what more would you want out of a top laner?
He was just one of the 5 members that was victorious today, and with their win, Samsung Galaxy takes the first spot in next week's semifinals. finals. They'll face the winner of Sunday's series between Europe's H2K and the LCL's Albus Nox. And gentlemen, as we look at this bracket with the dominance showing that Samsung Galaxy put up, you've already mentioned they're probably front runners for this side of the bracket to go to the finals. But I mean, if I'm H2K or Albus Nox, I am terrified of even advancing to face them.
And Samsung continues to answer questions. I asked at the start of the day whether or not they could switch over from being underdogs to being prohibitive favorites. And I think, yes, they absolutely can. Can they play more champions than they've shown? Absolutely. They can actually play multiple different styles. They're looking better and better as this thing goes on, and we're still with the very small sample size. So that's the question they have to consistently answer, is whether or not they can maintain this exceptional level of play.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Pacific, as we head to the other side of the bracket for a best-of-5 between reigning champions SK Telecom T1 and the LPL's Royal Never Give Up. So, gentlemen, preliminary thoughts on this matchup tomorrow.
I mean, I'm going to say Uzi's words. I'm going to be surprised if RNG can take a game off SKT. They look incredible. They look like such a strong team that is able to play an incredible amount of styles as well on top of champions, and that's just something that you cannot take for granted.
I mean, if you let SKT play the game, you do not often win. This has been the history of League of Legends, but RNG have the skill and can play that really aggressive style on their day to actually take a game early and snowball a win from SKT. So I think RNG can take a single game, but betting against SKT this tournament is an uphill battle.
I think it's highly unlikely, but Mata also said if Uzi was on this team, we would beat SKT at MSI. Uzi is now on that team, but it's still highly unlikely because of the level SKT is playing at and the inconsistency RNG showed.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of contradictory. We've got Uzi's statement and Mata's statement, both of them kind of at odds with each other. But be sure to stick around after tonight's show because Quick Shot, Clement, and Azael will recap today's series and preview tomorrow's quarterfinal clash in another edition of Worlds Tonight. Now, for us, though, it's time to sign off. So for myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you all for joining us here in the Windy City, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Chicago, it's time to meet tonight's quarterfinal contestants. Are you ready for some League of Legends?
Shockwave in the mid lane, petrifying out of Jensen. He flashes. It comes up with a clockwork bind. It looks like they turned the trigger on for this one. Cuvee teleports to the bot lane. Jensen gets melted. Smoothie's going to be the next target in the eyes of Samsung Galaxy.
Just keep up the communication, no tilting.
Yeah, focus our game and then trust our practice.
Yeah.
We are good.
다시 높은 것 같아. Two down now, Jensen, 60 seconds on the clock. Smoothie just gets auto down by Ruler.
Time to reverse sweep.
Yes, we've got them right where we want them.
Yeah.
They've fallen into our trap.
Smoothie's flash just went down. The rinse and repeat works. And that's the verdict as well that calls for Sneaky to go down on the engage. And it looks like Samsung Galaxy will be moving on to the semifinals at Madison Square Garden.
So let me catch you. So let me catch you slipping by. Why do I get myself? Why do I get myself caught up in these lonely nights? Oh, why? Why do I get myself? Why do I get myself caught up in these lonely
Smoothie's going to be the next target in the eyes of Samsung Galaxy. And can they bring the universe down on Meteos' head? Yes, they can. Hideaway flashed out by Ambition. Slicing Maelstrom on 3 members. The shockwave from Crown, and Cloud9 is melting. Smoothie's flash just went down. The rinse and repeat works. And that's the verdict as well that calls for Sneaky. And it looks like Samsung Galaxy will be moving on to the semifinals at Madison Square Garden.
Good evening and welcome to Worlds Tonight. We're here from the Chicago Theater. My name's QuickShot and I am joined by Clement and Azael as we break down today's action and look a little bit forward. And Clement, Samsung Galaxy, they came out the gate swinging today.
They looked amazing. We're looking at 3 teams in the Korean semifinals right now.
Yeah, and I mean, C9 on the other side, they lost as a team. They just looked outclassed.
Yeah, they really did. Let's start by taking a look at how those games actually rolled out. Starting with game 1 of the day, it was a 27-minute slugfest, but it was Cloud9 that were taking every single punch.
Yeah, and C9, you know, they had an okay start, but it's this gank was not followed up on properly there by Smoothie, mistimed. Crown's able to turn around a 1v3 to get the first blood, a solo kill, and this was really kind of a sign of things to come. Jensen did have a little bit of a fight back here where he was able to get a solo kill of his own, but C9 was never able to capitalize on the fact that Crown was missing summoners. And you know, as it came later into the game, Samsung, as I said, they win as a team. These guys were so well coordinated. They worked very well together the entire game, and they're able to pick up an ace. They're able to take the Baron and close out this game pretty quickly.
It just felt so desperate for Cloud9. Yeah. They end up losing, as you mentioned, 27 minutes on the clock. Going back, resetting, jumping into game 2, the game was a little longer. Cloud9 had a much earlier game strategy, Clement, but it still didn't work out.
Yeah, the teams, when C9 was looking at it, they said, like, it must have been the carries, so they swapped positions on the carries, but the laning phase still goes the same. You see right here, Ruler's just outclassing Sneaky in this entire series. At minute 27, everything was pretty even, but watch Cuvee's engage right here. He gets 4-man on the cannon ultimate, and then Crown comes in, another 4-man shockwave, and this game is just pretty much over from there. They pick up the Baron, and at 31 minutes, this is like C9's last fight. You see Samsung Galaxy going a little too aggressive, actually gets 2 of their players killed, but it's a little too late for C9 to really mount a comeback. At minute 38 right here, you see Samsung going for the final push, and again, this is the Ruler show. He's sidestepping things, he's dodging skill shots, and he just finishes really surprisingly and super strong.
And this is where the Cloud9 trap card was supposed to activate, meant to reverse sweep. It happens not this time, Azael.
No, it really didn't, and a lot of North American fans are hoping for it, but I mean, Cloud9 showed some signs of life in this game. They were actually almost 2,000 gold ahead just from laning phase. They were doing very well, but then they got too overconfident. They gave up kills, and this is, you know, one of those times where Cuvee was able to stop Jace's TP. He's able to join in this fight later. They were able to get a lot of kind of return kills because C9 was going over aggressive, and while C9 did fight it out, you can see the scoreboard 14-5 at that point, and 31 minutes into the game. This is where it all kind of went tragic for C9. Samsung was able to chase them down and really clean that one up pretty quickly.
Yeah, it seemed like a really one-sided affair here today. So the first of the Korean teams advances to the semifinals. They will be facing off against H2K versus Albus Nox Luna. That's going to be an interesting matchup on Sunday.
I'm really looking forward to the support matchup. I think that's going to be the, realistically speaking, the closest matchup. And they're both Zyra players, Licrit versus CoreJJ.
For me, the big story is also in the bot lane, but it's about the AD carries. Forgiven has been having an amazing tournament. A Miracle has statistically been the worst AD carry in the entire tournament. I think this one is going to go for H2K.
All right, so that will be taking place on Sunday. Tomorrow, however, we will see SK Telecom taking on Royal Never Give Up. Azael, what do you attribute that game to be decided? Who's going to win and why?
It's as a team. I don't think it's about the solo lanes. I don't think it's about those individual advantages. SKT has shown they can play all kinds of different drafts, and they can show that they can play them so well. It's just hard to find a hole in their game right now.
On an individual level, I actually think RNG has some chances. Mata against Wolf and MLXG against Bang, or maybe Blank, or maybe Bengi. But overall, just following Azael's point, I think SKT's going to come out ahead.
We will talk a little bit more about that. I want to hear why you say so. Everybody at home, if you are still watching within the client, be sure to jump over to youtube.com/LOL eSports as we're going to continue the discussion about today and looking forward. All right, and welcome back to Worlds Tonight from the Chicago Theater. Before we look forward, before we talk about some of the more exciting stuff, let's start with a sad note. Azael, Cloud9, they're out of the tournament. Maybe it was a surprise for them to even make quarterfinals.
Yeah.
But I thought they were going to put up more of a fight today.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly was hoping that they were, but I can't say I was super surprised with the result. I think that Samsung on the last day of group stages, they looked incredible. C9 kind of limped into the quarterfinals a little bit here, and although C9 had some good individual performances, they had some laning advantages. Samsung just played so much better as a team, and to me, Cuvee was the catalyst to winning all 3 games. The first game, he's smashing him on Echo. Game 2, it's that Kennen TP. Game 3, Poppy solo kills. This guy was doing everything.
I mean, but hang on now. Impact was meant to be the saving star here. So why did Cuvee make Impact look so mediocre?
I think Impact played over aggressive at times. Sometimes his bot lane was pushing in, they're taking tower, but then he's just trying to shove the wave in when he doesn't have mana and gets solo killed right here. This is just a Cuvee highlight right here. This is game 1. You see him on 3 different matchups, winning all 3 of them. Some of these shouldn't even be won. Poppy should be down CS. He's actually getting a solo kill right there. And also the teleport play from Cuvee was spot on.
It just felt like Impact didn't have much today. He wasn't really on his game. Sneaky was caught out of position a bunch. It felt to me as though Jensen was the only player that really showed up here in Chicago.
Yeah, and I tend to agree. I think that it's tough for Sneaky, partly because of the compositions and partly because they're so far behind against kind of bulldozer type teams with Poppy and Olaf. But Jensen showed up as far as laning phase. He actually won both sides of the Orianna Cassiopeia, getting a solo kill, and then completely dominated him again in game 3 as far as laning phase goes. But the team play was just so much better for Samsung that the advantages in mid lane never really mattered.
Yeah, it didn't show through. Let's take a close look at CoreJJ. This is a support that sort of transformed Samsung Galaxy, not only in their regional league, but even here on the world stage. Samsung looks like a world finalist contender with that play. I've even heard some people saying the best showing team at Worlds. Do you think that's fair?
I think that's fair. They won every game with CoreJJ in the group stages when he was playing, and he's good on so many different champions. I think his Zyra play was very good. He brought out the Tahm Kench that saved so many summoners for Samsung in this play. And right over here, he just plays the laning phase so well with Ruler, and props to Ruler too for having a great day.
Yeah, CoreJJ showed up in a big way. I mean, Karma, Jhin, they were killing a Sneaky over and over in lane. The Tahm Kench was almost a hard carry performance from a support. He was like 4-0-8, and he saved, what, like 20 people, 30 people that game? It was ridiculous.
It absolutely felt that way. Completely dominant game. Now, of course, that does mean Samsung Galaxy advance to New York, where they will take the stage in the Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in the world. Who are they going to face off against? We talked very briefly about H2K and ANX. I want to hear your opinions. This is a matchup that's happening on Sunday, so let's not go too deep, but what's going to be the deciding factor, Clement?
Well, I think it's probably going to be H2K right here. That comes out. I really want to see ANX, but it's going to be H2K. And I think
why?
Well, overall, I think they're stronger players in general, and I think Ryu has been playing a lot better performance. When you win all 3 lanes, like ANX has to pull off some crazy stuff to get back into the game, and I don't think just on the individual laning phase they're going to get past HUK. HUK are not going to let them do that.
One of the things that has made HUK look so successful is their ability to not only win lanes, but they're always pushing in all lanes. They have so much aggression, so much kind of map presence because of this, and it allows Forgiven to play so aggressive in bot lane. He's always shoving in his opponents. He's always up massively in CS, and this guy I just think severely outclasses a Miracle, and that's why I think it's gonna be a tough matchup for ANX.
All right, so let's assume then H2K win. Let's assume they don't tilt, which is something they have done many times before, right? So everything goes to plan on Sunday. H2K taking on Samsung Galaxy in Madison Square Garden. Okay, I'll give you a second. What do you think of that, Isaiah?
I mean, how do you favor any team above Samsung that's coming from this side of the bracket right now after what they did to C9 tonight? I think it's really, really tough to say that H2K is a favorite against them. Do I think that H2K has the potential to put up a better fight and maybe make it a close series? Yeah, but I can't favor them over Samsung.
What if H2K shows up from Sunday last week that went 4-0, they took down EDG twice, that had great lanes? You really think that that's that big of a difference?
I actually think H2K is going to win. Like, when we look at this, Samsung has been ahead in all 3 games just from the laning phase. They don't look that good when they're coming from behind. We saw this in the Gauntlet as well against Africa. They didn't come behind, basically. They're not aggressive enough to make those moves. So I actually think H2K is going to ride the wave from the start and actually just finish the games.
We rarely get split opinions on the analyst, so I'm not going to let you go further. I'm going to leave this as is, and we'll see how the results play out. I want to talk about tomorrow, though, because it is, of course, going to be an incredibly hype matchup. SK Telecom taking on Royal Never Give Up. SKT are the heavy favorites. You guys already mentioned that earlier in the show. So what does Royal have to do right tomorrow to win?
To me, it's all about individual performances. Like you talked about, I think individually, RNG has some advantages and can have advantages. They can look for outplays. These are guys who are explosive players, who are very aggressive players. I mean, look no further than Uzi in some of his performances. Hard carry performance against TSM. Hard carry performance, probably the most dominant AD carry performance I've ever seen against Splice. This guy can get kills early, and he can take over a game single-handedly. So I think it's about individual performances for RNG. That has to be their way in.
I really want to talk about the stylistic differences. Like, RNG is a team that's so focused on the bot lane, and on the flip side, SKT wants to play really defensive. So if RNG actually can get ahead and push that matchup in their favor, I think there might be a chance, not a huge one.
And that said, it's going to be hard to do it. Bang almost never dies. This guy's so consistent, always has incredible KDA. So it's a big ask for Uzi to smash that lane, but if he could do it, who knows?
I've heard a lot of people saying RNG are good enough to take a game of SKT. Let's assume the individual players show up. Let's assume they can smash the bottom lane. Is it enough to take SKT in a best of 5?
No.
I think it's always possible. I mean, we have seen SKT coming into Worlds didn't look as strong, you know, jungle issues and stuff. If RNG really does show up on all lanes, they're all firing playing at their top level. Yes, it's possible. I think it's always possible. But do I see it happening? No, I don't.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. Let's get one final comment about the junglers, because I feel like Blank and Bengi have been quieter, let me say, than some of the other junglers at the tournament. And MLXG, I was expecting more from. So what do you think about the junglers and how they could interact in terms of the matchup?
Well, I think a lot depends on which side the mid lane is pushing. MLXG has said this as well. Like, his performance is directly influenced by if Xiaohu is good on the day, and he's against Faker right now. So I think a lot of that is going to be mitigated.
It's also tough because MLXG and Xiaohu both have not really been looking nearly as good as they did at MSI and stuff. If this was MSI, Xiaohu, and MLXG, and you have that same roster performing at that level, and then you add Uzi, then I actually agree with Mata's statement that they could maybe beat SKT. But this is not the same team we saw at MSI. They're not performing at the same level, and because of that, it's hard to see them winning.
Zale, Mata said they can win. Uzi said he'll be surprised if they take a game. What is your prediction for tomorrow? And give me a score.
I mean, I'm going with Uzi because that's the most recent prediction, right?
Yep.
Mata's was back in MSI when they were performing very differently. I agree with Uzi. I think they're going to get smashed 3-0.
Clement, prediction and score?
I'm going to go 3-1 for SKT. I think RNG can pull off one surprise game if they, like, sub in Blank and they just, like, destroy him, but otherwise I don't see it.
All right, so my analysts favor SK Telecom. That game will kick off tomorrow, 5 p.m. Chicago time. I don't know where that is in America. I think it's Central. You guys figure it out over at lolesports.com. We will be back at 3 Pacific. We're going to kick off SK Telecom versus RNG.
going to be the next target in the eyes of Samsung Galaxy? And can they bring the universe down on Meteos' head? Yes, they can. Hideaway flashed out by Ambition. Slicing Maelstrom on 3 members. The shockwave from Crown, and Cloud9 is melting. Smoothie's flash just went down. The rinse and repeat works. And that's the verdict as well that calls for Sneaky. And it looks like Samsung Galaxy will be moving on to the semifinals at Madison Square Garden.
Confession that you're my obsession. You're pulsing through me. The blood is rushing and I am trusting you'll come save me. My knees are feeling